Git
And this actually
morgen.
has
Oh ja,
52
git
week highs
morgen.
at 27 and 90s, right? The way it is looking here, I
Okay. Laten we zijn wat de gameplan is aan. Hoe is de gameplan? Excuse me, what? Morgen, Gevre. Ja, git morgen. Morgen, morgen, morgen. 4 minute to the market opening.
there's a trip to the downside here from the 421s all the way down right now into sub $3. We'll see. This also has like 52-week highs at 459, right? So if you draw that line here, you can see that there is an intent actually to go for the breakout there on the daily charts.
Bot.
I have somewhat of a long bias on this name. But again, it will have to be with a proper long setup, right? But so far that's not there, and I'm not going to try and buy the dip here. So I'll wait for that. VOXX had a gap here, 34% on some news as well. Let's check what that news is. Non-binding proposal to Vox International.
So hand is the idea, the strategy gaat hands on patience. Patience is the key. This is wat me gaat hand perfecten, at least trying to perfecten. Dus me gaat in is me gaat aanleggen doen a order. Sie sehen. Create order. The oil. Wart patiently for 9:30. Wart patiently. The conference is hand a bisschen an der schwache Seite, to be quite honest. Man darf sich stärken. Tu sich nicht lassen. But we're gonna fight through. Weißt the take wo the confidence is low is the take was me kann machen one of the meeste progresses. Because die das dich convincen. You know what I mean? 2 minutes the market open. With 2 minutes. In the market is offen. Okay, ich hab da kleine Short herop. Wasn't called for. Wasn't a smart move. Oh, I got to get myself oriented back here. Air of blue skies. Is that here? What's happening? Lass mal sehen. Sie geht du bauen Resistance. Sie nicht. Sie gebrochen. Oh ja, geht morgen, Schäferle, Briedele, sie geht an a guten Tag. Like I said, the conference hunt is a bit on the low end. Ich question mich jedem Mal von dem. Oh ja, geht morgen, Schäferle. Okay, so du wart mal so la rucke, man. Ich hatte betesten 67. Ich gebe mal so Chaperan, so kleine Take Profit, aber es hat mich ausgespielt. Sie geschehen das auch mal bei mir. Definitely will aufgehen. Hat legen du. Ich spiele mich mit der anderen. In jedem Mal ist es so. Ja, ich finde du zu do. Lass mal sehen, jetzt, wo sie will tun. Lass mal sehen, wo sie will tun. Nicht jeden Tag ist Chalamoy, das, hey? Well, we are close for that check-in, though. More close for that check-in, do. So I gotta stay focused here. Kick on the candles. The candlesticks. Zwei grüne candlesticks. MACD is auf dem Weg herauf. Können uns jetzt an a reversal zurück herauf tun, zu der Fibonacci, zu der Golden Zone, zu Cholias. Was Sie können sagen, als deciden zu gehen anyways. Ich wusste, hier noch ist herangecheckt. Oder ja, wenn man Internet arbeitet, mehr schnell. Okay. in a trade. Stop loss. Set aufregen. Boom. Failed to... Okay, es gibt keine Error. Mal sehen, wo der... Ja, ich habe $90. Nicht gefährlich. Nicht gefährlich, für das almost mistake. Für das almost mistake. Okay, so definitely tried darauf zu pushen, du. Darauf zu gehen. Sie können sein, nicht so viel machen. I'm not gonna lie. Kann sein, als mit aller Might der geben wir da noch einmal als Push darauf. Oder will zu die Karuki, man, zu die Golden Zone, du. Minijan will zurückkommen. But oiberkimt is this I get a position do. By the way, this is not financial advice. This is pure Zacharim Spiel. Pure Spielzeugen this. Nothing really mehr wie dem. I just want to make it clear. By the way, mir heet the volume geht. Das sich, alles hört man. There's the patience do. Ich habe gesagt, das Hand geht an the patient game mit dem. So we're waiting. For do. Das ist mit dem. Was nicht du kann patience mit dem. Because ich fühle wie will literally durchbrechen do. Sorry. Okay. Woo. Jetzt gehst du deciden zu reversen. Gotta stay, wie sagt man? Resilient. Gotta stay tough. By the way, Nächten habe ich ausgehört, es ist ein Podcast. Ich kann nicht den nehmen. Like einer von den jüdischen größe podcasts. Nicht Jiddisch, like, there was redden Yiddish. Was redden English. Inspiration, eine von dem. Okay. We're taking major losses here? Like, do a stop loss. Wow. Ich bin Hand. Phew. Because I've been getting patient enough, and I got to look him and do. Oder das Time gewollt geben, als ein kleiner Checker da mit VWAP, du. So, ich halte mit reden und sagen, als ich ausgehe den Podcast, ich habe nicht verstanden, like, was ist geschehen mit dir, für was ist auf der Podcast, like, it's ein bisschen confusing. Die Idee gewesen, was ich verstanden, als ist aufgewachsen nach Hause, ist weggegangen, getroffen Agiti Yeshiva, getroffen Barry Weber, und hat mir aufgelegt auf the right path, und zurückgelost wachsen sein pious, kiegt aus wie ein Hasidischer, ja nicht wie ein cool Chuset. Ja nicht im Gold actually lief mal so wie ein Tuna-Beigel, but ja nicht sich angehalten. Okay, is Handmann-Tag a total loss day? Wieso kickt das aus? Am I running after stuff? Am I not patient enough? What's happening? Okay, so ich darf gedenken, du da Order. So rein das canceln. Ich will nicht soll kaufen. Ich will soll kaufen. Ich will so mir geben einen Alert. Well, lass mal zurück an the one, was ich I do own here. Noch mal rück mal checken VWAP. Ja. Nicht jeden Tag ist Chalamoid. Boom. Stopped out. Wart war a pullback. Sehen Sie, brecht du. Sag mal lager, bei der Stop-Loss lag ich mit ein bisschen Profit. But für eine $1,300 los, ich mache 60. But, hey, tu nicht aufgeben, weil ein Tag ist ein bisschen nicht, wie heißt das? Noch, man wird ein bisschen trigger-happy. Man will just klicken, man will just sein in der Sache. You know? Hat du gehit der Final Bottom? Sie will gehen noch ein. Oder hat jeder mal rausgecheckt, also wie getein zu mir. Und jetzt ist Zeit, zurückzufuhren, checken, VWAP. Du, der VWAP ist grey. Of the futures, wie ich trade, nicht du. Bankel issues. So ja, so ich hatte mit den Sogen wegen dem chassidischen Podcast. Er hat geht in Englisch. That's what I should give him. Wenn einer hat. Sucht geleint als Sachbox. So, als geleint als Sachbox, verstehe ich sein verständlich der Weg, wie sie gerät. Aber ich habe getroffen a few things, was gesucht. Ich habe verstanden, was treibt zu suchen, aber ich habe getracht, it's just not happening. Like der Weg, wie sie gesucht, dass schon gewesen weg und zurückgekommen in Amul. Gerät von Israel. So fragt der Host fragt ihm, okay, so wann bist du gewesen in Israel? Amul, like a while back. Okay, wie alt? 18. Wie alt bist du jetzt? 20. Die meisten vorige Woche Donnerstag, bist du gewesen in Israel? Und auch die Idee, als mit weggegangen. Was heißt weggehen? Wie bist du gewesen? Bist du nicht gewesen? Was heißt, bist du gekommen? Trugen a Hairstyle mit a Reckel, mit a certain style, meint nicht, dass du bist anywhere zurückgekommen. So, I really don't understand. Was heißt weggehen? Was heißt sein? So, yeah. That was a bit, for me, confusing. Ich habe auch nicht verstanden, was ist auf dem Podcast in the first place. Okay. Usually, wenn einer geht darauf auf a Podcast, ich do mehr no, wieso kann man das riefen? So, ich habe ein Stückchen Kopf. Normal, wenn einer geht weg oder geht darauf auf a Podcast, hat interesting points of view. Noch ein bisschen zu jung. Ich habe nicht verstanden, seine points of view. Ich habe nicht verstanden, was ist auf der Podcast. Ich habe nicht verstanden, was. Like, what is he showing? Ich habe verpasst information of the podcast. Und ich will nicht reden schlecht davon, like, because everybody's experience is their own experience. Like, ich will nicht wegmachen, seine experience. But sie gefühlt ein bisschen premature. Like, Hast dich schon gefreut auf die Peach, wo die hast, but bis noch ist auf viele Leben den Bäume rauszunehmen, der Peach, you know? So, I don't know. It's a bit interesting. It was very interesting, I'm not gonna lie. But jetzt fange ich an zu rechnen, es kann aber viele verpasst Information. Ich habe nicht ausgehört, die ganze Maße-Geschäft, you know? Ich kann auch gedrückt forward by mistake, or... Question ist, ich soll durchgehen, der Podcast noch einmal live. Oh ja, geht morgen, Schäferle, Brüderle. Sogar hit seiner guten Tug. Oh. Ich will machen sicher, dass alle Sounds arbeiten. Alright. (9:46) 9:46 und der Tug, was es hand, hat nicht herausgebringt gute Results. Der Lesson, was ich schon hand gelernt, ist Patience. Ich weiß nicht, was ich sage, but it just comes in all ways and forms. Wieso es spielt dich aus. Ich habe gedreht, fahre ich mich in live durch, gedreht. And terrible results. It doesn't represent wer ich bin, of course, but just not a good... Man wird wie spiraled in, and boom, bim, bam. Fangst du schon an anreden, wenn man darf holden the brakes. But anything you do in any line you do as a take, you know? Oh ja, geht morgen. Three, aber ich like the stop order. Kauf mir an, bis du... Okay, kann das ein bisschen mal aufregen. So, ich fühle ein bisschen offhand mit der ganzen Trading Situation. Which is normal. Viggy, snap back into it. Oh, that reminds me of reaching David today. Should reach out to him. Ich kann nicht geschrieben, say about us to reach and see him. Just because I just want to reach out to him, you know? Okay. Are we having this mental breakdown right now? Or the just as a test do? And even in us. Come on. Is this going to be one of those days where I get my handed to me or not? Oh. Was ich schon mit daran checken mit 2 Orders? Okay. Du sagst a resistant client. Ay. What's happening? Is there a meltdown in front of my face? Is there a meltdown? Do we have a meltdown on aisle 4? Okay. Okay, what's happening? What's happening, peoples? Ich fühle so wie ein Commander von einem Schiff und mir geworden gehit und ich darf herankommen. Wo ist sie geschehen? Hebra? Ja, geht mal bewarten. Okay. Nicht jeden Tag ist, wie sagt man? Chalamud. Guys, mir sagen, also, du gecheckt am Bottom. Du, also, that's what you're gonna do to me, huh? I guess it will. No, it won't. We will take charge. We will take cover. And we will recover. Nicht jeden Tag geht wie geplant. Aber wie lange das in scheint, sind wir ins Gucci. We are good. Come on. Show us what you can do. Jetzt muss ich einfach Music. But ich will nicht werden copyrighted. Copy striked. Because then the views are going nicht mit mir. That's a problem. Ich meine, als ich darf das nehmen als a test, as a retest. Du. Oi, oi, oi. Jetzt geht der zurück herumkommen, du verstehst? No. Ich fuhr darauf, das ist ein Test, das ist ein Bottom. Das ist the bottom of the call. But I think we're gonna call it a day. I think we're gonna call it a day. So I think that's gonna be the boom, are those get checked? You gotta know when to hold them. You gotta know when to fold them. Du kommst jetzt zurück herab. Mit Gehirn ausgespielt. Wegnehmen mein Geld, meine Opportunities, and boom. But no, but I bought that off. He's building up. Okay, we got sich wischen the news. And we're gonna move am Sheikh Allah. Nicht jeden Tag ist Chalamoid. Come on. Jetzt kommst du mir herab, du? Jetzt kommst du mir herab wie am Macheten. No. Now I'm just running. Ich meine, ich darf ein Break. Nitzen von dem Mind, der Reik. Gonna hit the brakes. So, bekitzer, mach heranbringen das. Bissl change in the mind, du. Oh, ich halte mit Nose Hände. The Donald mit, wie heißt der, du?
They don't talk about that.
The Sean Ryan Show. Es kommt schon nicht darauf, vielleicht als ein Video, because ich habe es gewatcht. Lass mich das gar nicht sehen. There's a Hasidic boy search for identity that brought him back. Wie ist gewesen? Was hat ihm zurückgebracht? What are they trying to what are they trying to point out? Ich habe nicht verstanden gehörig. But could be ich habe missed information. Could be ich habe missed information. So, we zoeken door dan, we zal watchen this, machen a live review of them. Trying to sound personal mit them, you know. First of all, I don't know him. Ich habe gesehen einmal von dem auf a jewelry advertisement. In der andere Mal habe ich gesehen, ich gesucht einmal, but ich habe gesehen auf a, wie heißt der, der Positive, Podcast Positive.
Without the words exactly clicking with a song,
This episode,
good or bad, it just is. It was a fascinating and amazing.
Storm, and of course, Twillery, my favorite clothing brand on planet Earth. This episode is in memory of Shimon David ben Yaakov Shleima and Miriam Sarah bas Yaakov Moshe.
Inspiration for the nation. Let me get my line. I gotta do the. Yitzchak, I'm so impressed with your intelligence, maturity, and wisdom. So I'm to speak publicly. Charity and perspective of your experience. It is definitely needed. Thank you. Okay. A positive one. That's good. The work done. The work that's happening. Room in the hospital is amazing. Yes. I like to the comment. Makes sense. Because you should go in hospitals, visit mentions, einfach a lifeline. In it's just crazy. Ja, die hast ein Room ungefüllt mit Essen, sort of heimische Essen. Gekauft Essen, but besser wie anybody else in dem hospital. The person he found out not dating young people. Ja, so auch hat in der Podcast hat, in der Schmies hat ausgebliebene Nummern. Ich weiß nicht, wem meint. Dacht sich mir, ich kann mich vorstellen, als meint, I would say der Breslauer, wie heißt der? Macht eine Gine, singt auch het. Nummer mit rausgeflogen wie ein Kopf, my Baldermannen. Well, this interview made me cry. I'm a 17-year-old Hasidic girl. My father is Satmar. Sarah for more has this. However, I don't live in Williamsburg, Monroe. Therefore, my family is more mainstream. I have a very close connection to Hasidus, but I truly think that there is something. But I truly think that there are some things that have changed. People just have to see the beauty of Judaism. Okay. Als geweint. Okay. I'm not sure what you're trying to bring out. The beauty from Hasidus in Yiddishkeit. Ja. But the end of the game hat jeder einer, any group hat some good stuff in it. I will never forget the chesed received from Satmar. They are the best. Also, my friend who grew up non-from is now Satmar and married a Satmar guy and raising Satmar because It was so inspiring to him. Okay. They do make sweet people. I'm not gonna lie. Satmer hat gute Sachen. Der Chesed is like crazy. Überall, jeder Hospital, wie du willst. Jetzt ich gewähne, weißt du, ich darf Satmer, aber das ging Chawairam. Sie gehen einer in Arizona, ein Kind hat gemisst, verloren geworden, boom. Chawairam ist reingekommen. Se taste, Chawairam ist wie ein Satmer, sag. Sie do Belze and andere inside as members, but it's geared towards Satmer, I would say. Israel felt something missing in his life and I went impudent of it. I have to admit I got lost in the journey because many of the world spoke Hebrew and Yiddish. You speak of the balance, control, and other aesthetic concepts. Okay. So far, positive. Wish I had these yeshiva opportunities when I was his age. Yeah. Yeah. There's the matmach fan. A few months ago, a friend of mine, his sister got married. In schon lange gewesen bei Chasanas, and I came to and I heard them in music, the handige style music. So it's somers dorch mir sagt mir, wenn in seinem gewesen sei age, jünger, mag gespielt mit David oder ein bisschen wilde Musik bei Chasanas, ich kann ein Vetter auslöschen, auspluggen the keyboard. In hand, sucht mir alles an der Vetter tanzen mit. So, ma definitely gejumpen. Life is a balance, but not 50-50. At this point in the world, people don't appreciate the value of stoicism enough. Okay. I'm one of the 5% non-Jews who really enjoy your channel. I know quite a few Yiddish words. However, just in a few words, the translation, I'm sure you would get more viewers. English was always the translation I'll put on the screen. Yeah, but I never said Yiddish. Come on. Beste language is Yiddish for aim. Kan sich mehr expressen. Bring in a community and it works for you and against you. 3 ups and downs. There's ups and downs. Okay? There's nothing more enjoyable than our relationship with Hashem from a place of our own soul desire. The journey of life is important parts. Okay, so far, ganz get positive. Wow, I'm super impressed how wise Yitzchak is beyond his age. It's visible that he's a person that has worked on himself and found the inner truth. Kol hakavod. Bro, ich bin noch 20 Jahre alt. Miriam Fink 98. Wer ist Miriam Fink 98? Weiß nicht. But chillax, 20, okay? Hold the brakes. Ja, aber ein Mensch kann sein besser. Like, above his age, more mature. Makes sense. Okay. VIGGY, hold the brakes. All right. Beautiful, pure, and raw. Experience heilige neshama with a thirst for truth. Wishing you continue so. In dem auch wegen truth. Als seek truth. Und ich habe nicht verstanden, wie getroffen truth and how he found truth. Ich meine, ich darf es so sehen, von nun bis himself. Sie kann geben a bessere understanding. A bessere understanding. Mal sehen, wie ins Halbmer da. Okay, chill door him. Ich gange sideways. Trägen ihm die Geld für mir, geht sideways. Glitscht das so weg. Trägt at least mich zu machen fühlen wie, oh, ich will kennen, wenn aufreiten das, but Peschi Sharai Shemahim Pesach ויוצא אתנו לא נוסיף יפתח Okay. ולבבו נוסיף יפתח שערי שמיים פסח. אני ישעיינו וליבי יין. אני ישעיינו וליבי יין. כל דידו יפי בזכיני. כל דידו יפי בזכיני. Okay, zurück gehen zu den Comments. Ich habe nur gehört von den Comments. Whoa, in all caps. What an awesome interview. Okay. Keep climbing, Isaac. So this I get wie soll ich das? Comment. Keep on going, keep on climbing. Amazing insight about the white glove treatment. What kids want to grow up and create a life. We agree. Okay. Obviously, again, Badir. Well, you're not going to say, oh, it's not. Otherwise, you wouldn't post it. Ook dort, als gehad heb a business, a jewelry business, in gaat ungegreift a scheine event erget. Wat hem gecanceld de letzte minute. In het groot gelend a sach davon. Which gebanuga van de stikkel. Because sometimes you get shoved around, and this kan dich machen stärker in life. Chesed from Satmar is the best, yes. Jetzt auf the positive Zat, it's the best. Not gonna. It's nicht einmal up for the bet. Das nimmt mich weg anything else. Das verämpft nicht gar nicht, oder das geht nicht recht für etwas. Gar nicht. Just saying that part, the chesed part, the bikachoylem, the health, the kimmen, the gain, is unbeatable. Yitzchak is a good guy. Isaac, you're amazing. Thanks for saying Rosh Hashiva, so I could confirm. No, was heißt der? Friegen sich drei Gedenken, sagen nur, man, love your podcast. Can you do more episode on drugs? Consumption in the Orthodox. What? Beautiful Things 36. Drugs. Yeah, so I got a problem. Definitely, I like, but I've definitely read the fin. I'm not the knowledge. Quite inspiring. Is echt inspiring? Quite inspiring. Okay, I'm just being funny, but this is almost inspiring. Great interview. Love the innocence of thinking that only Hasidic community shuns smartphone. Shaya. Real Shia. Okay. Not the fake one? Okay. Why are we bleeping out something, especially if it's so important in the story? Ja, zij bliepen raus, de eerste, wem zij riefen, Rosh Hashiva or something. En me bliept raus an nummen. Sucht auch dort in der Mitte von der Episode, als das schon der zweite Mal sie recorden ist. Weil der erste Mal sind sie gewesen, a bit, sucht, also gehen sein negative and stuff like that, so I will change in sein perspective. Oh man, der Levi. Very powerful. Proud of you, Yitzchak. Woe is an understatement. Hey, living L'chaim. Sorry. And openly. Lots of respect. Ja, kimmen darauf auf a Platz und reden. Die Respekte da. Ich gehe gleich zu dir Gries, sie disagrees, sie sucht liegend, sie emmes, sie just Bauchswures. It's irrelevant. The fact, als man kommt darauf singen sogar, man kommt darauf reden, is huge enough, as I say. It's huge. Wie sie sagt, the Donald, is huge. Is the biggest. All right. I really like the question found away. Nice. Ja, inmitten sucht in the podcast retter, als gehad a sach questions. Is aufgewachsen in a time he got questions. But he realized as he got older, at 20, but as he got older, he realized that sometimes the question falls away. Which I agree with. Bringt vielleicht ein Example, als ein Kind will noch Candy, noch was geht als 8 Zucker, geht der Tata sagen nein, but wenn der Kind wird 18, I mean, an adult, the kid's gonna say, oh, you're right. Get nicht noch Candy for a kid. But ich weiß nicht, ich agree damit auf jeder Sache, like a overall thing. Could be, sagt, dass the question bothert them schon nicht, also ich sage. So wie Menschen who smoking cigarettes, right? They know it's not good for them, but they still do it. Wieso ist der Contradiction? Wieso arbeitet das? Oder ist es geht für der in die Testas, oder ist es nicht geht für der, so für wo Testas? Because the brain kann es also wie manipulieren, kann heranlegen die Fact, als nicht geht für der, in a closet. Weggestippt, man darf sich es schwer empfehlen. So, can I mind this auch, but generally, I don't know if I agree with that, like a blanket statement. But andere questions, wo sie getroffen, der Territz, kann ich verstehen exactly seine questions, but ich meine, sich da watschen, die ganze Sache. Wo sucht du die Eule? Wo sucht du die Eule? Das Sache, Comments. Oh, Matthias. Boom, boom, boom. Jetzt, ich weiß schon, was ich kenne. Just know, er hat rausgegeben einen Song, singt, hat bei Machul hat gemacht, ist ihm gegangen. Bei Machul, Schnitzel, Jutzat. Hat nicht von Machul, kann echt nicht gesehen, sein Schass. Bin echt nicht bei der Platz. In sein Schass, was habe ich immer als Schussen, habe ich gesehen. Ich fühle mich connected mit Machul, nicht mit Machul personally, just mit seiner Musik. Ich habe ihn gekannt als Kind, habe ihn gesehen. Ich denke, wenn ich umgehe im Singen, ich denke im Fahren singen, but so ich fühle mich ein bisschen, oh, it's Machul, you know. Nobody is beyond hope. We are all on a life journey. The main thing is that you can achieve the goal set out for yourself. Yup. The last statement is better with the erste. He seems to describe a cult, but not allowing us to know which. Please explain. Not a cult. He's not. Okay, there's the comment about Liba Bissel. When he was on the street, why? He he wasn't only kicked out of yeshiva, also from home. What kind of artist is he? From what age? Range 9475. Then comment, it's not bad. It's not a bad comment. I kind of feel also the same way. Like, sie sei das auch information, was I guess I'm gerät auf der erste, oder man nicht geht Masbe gewesen. Oder there's a thing, von was man hat ihm interviewt, in nicht a zweiten. I just don't understand. Well, hey, listen, very interesting and important conversation. Love it. Okay. Whoa, amazing. A lot to learn from him. Ja, man kann sich eibig lernen von eibig. Man kann sich eibig lernen von eibig. Man kann sich eibig lernen von anderen. Viele der Menschen, die außen schlieben. And usually the Menschen, die außen schlieben, kann man sich lernen, der meiste. You're inspiring. Truly amazing. Keep it up. Listen, wir haben nicht zu sagen, als dich nicht inspired. Right? I'm just a guy on my laptop in my office. Ich wollte sagen in my kitchen, but ich bin nicht in my kitchen, so. I don't want to lie here. Very interesting. But Hashem found a way to following Hashem. It is important. Ich habe kein Issue mit dem. But wieso hat getroffen, sie following Hashem? Like, und in the hidden record, this is the following Hashem, oder, like, nicht verstanden. I'm not trying to be harsh oder scharf auf ihm. It's just, als ihr likes darauf a video, kann ich es zu nehmen. Right? Wow. Love it. Must be a smart body. Oh, okay. I wish you all the best. We talk about something. They are the best. And the Zionist is the truthful way. Phew. Smiley face. The Rebbe Zechron of the Tzaddik Larocha was never wrong. Ooh. Was never wrong. Never. Viele Moshe Rabbeinu gewesen wrong. User QP AWB1 LY61. Okay. Moshe Rabbeinu gewesen wrong. He was never wrong. Ganz a scharfe Statement. Auch wegen der Natire-Karte. Ja, es ist also, die bist ein Satmerer. In die Rätz mit anybody, was es nicht, was kann ich gehörig. Und er sagt, oh, you guys, und noch you break it down, und die weißt, wo der Rätz von der Natire-Karte, und die wisst, der Masber sagen, like, bro. Kiekt aus dasselbe. we look the same, but we don't have the same ideology. Sie nehmen das Ziefrim, you know, so wie die Democrats. Sie sind die Democrats von der Satmerer, der Frimme. The boy is very sweet, but the interview is very confusing and hard to follow. Liebe Menschen, schreib mal raus, der freaking Emmas. You gotta like that one. Sei good and all, but there's major information missing. I'm watching it on Spotify. We'll love if you can add a video there as well. They don't clearly mention which cult or group he joined. Can you provide any clarity? Okay, exactly. In the dark, a little clarity. Love this podcast, but pretty stupid. Video room 3593. What's happening? Pretty stupid. His understanding of basics such as explanation of parent-children relationship or his Torah and Talmudic questions have recommended him rather not to appear in public forums. Woo! Smack in the middle. Love this podcast. Okay. Fang to meta positive. But the boy literally appears to be pretty stupid. Okay. Pretty in stupid or his understanding of basic Explanation for parent-children relationship or his Torah and Talmudic questions. Okay. All right. Harsh, but listen, dezelfde week wie we bekomt love en die alle dagen daarvan ook in deze had. Which I kind of agree nicht, dass wir sollen nicht raufgehen auf public forum. This is not something I'm saying as nicht. Ich support jeder einer. Schillig. Wie lange du likest darauf Content? Good for you. Und noch ein Mensch, schon choosen, wer, wo, wenn, wie. You know, es ist nicht sei, es ist nicht... Es ist noch eine neue Form, es ist noch eine neue Konzept bei Jiden. Ich rede Jiden, rede ich der Hasidische Jiden in uns, us, versus them. But es ist eine schwere Sache herauszugeben. Die Geist, die mein Channel, kennst du sehen, Menschen sind gekommen auch reden. Ich habe nicht keinen Podcast. Ich habe mehr Menschen gekommen schmissen. Und es ist schwer. Menschen haben nicht gebaut, dass ich eine Konferenz bei uns. So zu sehen, Menschen, die gehen darauf, rather support darauf, because at the next time, der Mensch, was ist ja teuglich, aber will nicht darauf kommen, hat nicht wollen darauf kommen. Get what I'm saying? Darf öffnen the pioneers von der Sache, bin nicht an der Beste, but sie öffnen auf the envelope, sie öffnen auf, sie pushen the boundaries. Ja, gerette besingen mit Säure. Es ist funny. So du Menschen, wenn es du Menschen sind, sie will nicht adheren zu alle jüdische Haluchas. Aber sie sind Chayid. Fangt man es an, es twisten. Mit allen meine Twisties, mit allen meine Wegen, like, a kleine Muschel. Feier Shabbos. Hatte du leider. Am Mut mir gedacht, arbeiten schwer. You know. Also meine Sachen. Ich habe mich gestellt darauf, rein ich gehen jetzt back and forth, wo es ja, wo es nicht. But I'm just saying the idea. Man geht sich also verämpft, es ist nicht echt Feier, es ist ein Shabbos-Elevator, es ist das, es ist jetzt. Und also wie mit der Lights. Aufwachsen, es ist ein Feier, was ist ein Feier? The biggest problem uns in der Light Shabbos ist wegen Circuit. Man macht da Full Circuit. Wenn man tun nicht bauen. Und die machst da Circuit, baust du. Verstehst? So I'm saying, die Menschen geben sich gesellig, so gehat auch seinen eigenen Twist auf Masoira. I didn't really pay attention, but er hat eine neue Chiddisch auf Masoira, versus was gemeint amul Masoira meint. The Oilam will listen, by the way. Who is this Rebbe he's talking about? Yeah, the Oilam will listen. Like, if he's bad, we need to protect, you know? Wusstest du, ob jetzt einer hat ein Kind und will schicken jetzt und geht mal hinschicken und die wirst du gekannt stoppen? I don't know, what is the right thing? Was ist die richtige Sache? Sucht man die Nummern? Sucht man nicht die Nummern? Steigt man da weg? Wie, wo ist denn wie? Ani yeshayinu. Haben wir den Rega do? Okay. Gedenkst du, ich habe gesagt, patience, do it. That's what I was talking about before. Patience. Ich habe nicht gehabt an patience. In the patient game habe ich gehabt, I would say, gefailt. Not gonna lie. Ich habe gefailt of the test von patience. Which would have been a shame, ob ich wollte nicht gehabt, mich ausgelernt, die Lesson. You know what I mean? Ich habe mich ausgelernt, die Lesson. Ich habe mich da, wenn Patienten. Na. Wen sucht man? a zweite Mal. Tomorrow is another day. Okay, zurück zu dem. Why is this guy worth an interview? Gute question. I'm saying was living Chaim. It takes real courage to return. We will always celebrate someone getting closer to Hashem and doing tshuva. Yeah, but was JM Archives treibt er du zu sagen, wie sie gegangen und wie sie zurückgekommen. Und in a T-shirt für 15 Minuten nach Leben doesn't mean anything. It just shows that, okay, you didn't want to be that dressed. Because in the interview habe ich gehört, wie geht daran in questions, in yeah, I'm sicher, like, he left, okay, some major questions and major answers. Because he has a fantastic journey that it might help some people who have questions and it might, the journey. Yeah, but ich habe nicht geredet von seinen questions. Er hat just gesagt, dass jetzt ist weggegangen. At 99.9, fine gold. The Gemur, not... er besucht wegen du der Gemur. Sie sucht nicht so, sie sucht so. I plead the fifth. Satmar has a lot of issues with their young people because it's too oppressive. It's time to release, to recess. Recess the situation, sagt er. Agreed. Devorah Cohn. At the Devorah Cohn. Like every other community. Wouldn't you say the little black and white thing? What? I'm saying like black and white. I've seen it in the risk of all communities, even the ones that were quite in. Okay. For the record, Satmar does a marvelous job with their young people and a wide spectrum of adherent where mental health individuals find themselves in a very happy space. That's a funny, ich habe gerät zu einem, nicht gerät zu mir, ich habe nicht gerät zu ihm, sie haben just gesetzen in a circle und sagen, sie not chassana. Tos kiegt das eine Vers, because er sagt, sie weiß gar nicht, kein gar nicht. Der einzige Sache, was sie will, ist fuhren mit der Kabel, wie er ist geworden nach Hause, so er kann treiben. Kuhn. Who has such a small dropout rate? Was meint a dropout? What does a dropout mean? Hello? Do you call einer, was geht ungetein anders a dropout? How about a geht ungetein geherig, keiner weiß nicht, but er hat dropout thoughts? How would you know? If a Hasidic Ingeman decides that their Leben ist schon nicht für sich, für ihn, he can't leave. He's not geared for the real world. Sei schwer für der, wenn ich sage real world, mal sagen, besides von was ist sie gewohnt. You know? Kann ich schon auch nach shopping, give me a sandwich. I'm just kidding. It's different. Man ist geared dafür, so how could a lot of people choose to stay? And they would never share with you, saying, oh, I want to leave, but I can't. Können die Geister sich machen. Und zweitens, why would he tell you he wants to leave? Er will sich schon anlegen nach Päckl. Er will wissen. Or he keep beeping out. Will wissen die Nummern. Redt von Barry Weber highly with no beeps. Mama Mayim, thank you. Kenzan meint, man, Yoli Roth. Kenzan meint Yoli Roth. I'm not gonna lie. I think he means that. Did I crack the case? I regret to say that this interview was not to my liking. Okay, Ari Malki 2562. It wasn't to your liking. Okay, Queen. It wasn't to her liking. Visit me good even the was het geharge de nicht a guillotine. The messer is also a ruge kim, es hat ugeschnitten the cup. In the ancient times. To the gallows! I have no negative feeling towards either of you. Oh, okay. But the interview itself and the editing style felt quite a lack of clear direction. Listen, if I gotta like it, if it's a good comment, it's a good comment. Whoa, Yitzchak, whoa. Es ist funny zu sehen auch, wie viele Menschen schreiben wow, I guess haben verstanden, nur die Menschen, was nicht verstanden. Okay. Soll man das watchen? Soll man reingehen tief mit dem? Sie haben 1.3 Million Subscribers. Wow. Das ist ein Schuh. Soll man da reingehen drin? אני ישעיינו וליבי יד. Also, aber kim a vote, aber soll das watchen, bin ich in. A vote. A wie in the chat. A wie in the chat. A wie is so mom. Hi. A wie is so mom. Hi. And I mach shuva. And I mach shuva. Hello, Moshe. Yeah. I don't know. It's a shoe video. It's an hour-long video. But I will do it. I will commit. 859 likes. Ich kann nicht geben the video a like. Moishi, is it between me and you? Huh? Should we go for it? Are we seeing eye to eye on this? Huh? Say the word. Zoek de woord. En ik ben boem. Ik ben into the review mode. O yismach Moshe. B'matana schelkoi. Alright, we gaan nemen naar een minuut break. En nog dan het man zich, I guess, uitzetten en watchen this. Alright, I'll see you in a few. Hello. Kann ich just mir kein redacten a message? Jetzt bin ich schon mehr neugierig. Moishe, wusste geschrieben. Please. Let me in. Okay. So, did we make the decision? Got my watching yet, this? All right. Unplugging the computer though. Unplugging the laptop. All right. Dus de mat mag me gang aan de regen. Voor een break, voor een stretch. Is du a... Gemogeet a story als wie heißt das? Einer was steht live. Jedem sie geht raus, legt sie als a stick bei ihr Benkel. I'll be right back. Whenever sie geht weg, hat sie mehr viewers. Wie actually. Okay. Di-di-da-da-da, di-di-da. Di-di-da-da-da, di-di-da. Di-di-da-da-da-da, di-da-da-da-da. Di-di-da-da-da, di-da. Di-di-da, di-di-da-da-da. Okay. Maar deze geven me even off a minute. Okay. Daarover gaan doen. So definitely Jean a loss. We make it, we make it. We not make it, we not making it. But, okay. Dus gaan we daar weg aan vinden. Alright. Jetzt gaan we zich aanbrechen in dem Video. Es ist hoch, lass mich wissen. Soundcheck.
Singing out of raw emotion without the words exactly clicking with a song, rhyming with a song, or whatever. Just the whole beauty of the song is it being pure. And this is what pulled me most, because what I was looking for all my life was purity and truth. So this is the first time I felt a sense of truth somewhere, and I ran after that with my life.
How many people stay on the track they're born to? Meet Isaac Fogel. He grew up in the Satmar community and along the way had a hard look at himself. You will hear about Isaac's decision to leave his world and what ultimately brought him back. It's fascinating. In this episode, you may hear us...
Okay, so man darf gedenken, ist weggegangen, und nach dem geht sagen, der Terizam, für was ist zurückgekommen. We gotta remember that. Yes, and I'll do the inspirational music though.
Out some information because we felt details didn't really add value. Stick around to the end and you'll hear why we shot this episode twice. You'll hear about BitBean's leading tailor-made technology for many industries. You'll hear about Stamazoi and why they are the #1 cipher that's literally a WhatsApp away. You'll hear about the cell phone service, US Mobile, taking the world by storm. And of course, Twillory, my favorite clothing brand on planet Earth. This episode is in memory of Shimon David Ben Yaakov Shleima and Miriam.
Die alle Sachen, was jetzt gesagt, ist es der Hebreman oder it's confusing?
Moshe. Here we go. I'm Yaakov Langer, and you're listening to Inspiration for the Nation.
Langer?
Isaac, thanks so much for doing this. Can you tell us about yourself and about your background growing up in the Satmar community?
Hi, my name is Isaac Fogel, Yitzchak Fogel. Grew up in Williamsburg, in Satmar, and it was actually, now looking back, it was a fascinating and amazing experience. Obviously, when you go through life, not always feels every single part of your life that it was a great experience, but looking back, everything is part of what built you and what made you become who you are. So ultimately, it was an amazing and very interesting experience growing up in a world where this is your whole world. You grew up in a place where this is the only place that really matters to you. This is the only family and community that matters to you. This is the only language that matters to you, the only language you really know. And it's not necessarily good or bad. It just is. Very interesting experience.
So I think for a lot of Orthodox
How did they take... Was hat jetzt gesagt? Chillig, was ist. Geht schlecht. Sie ist. Was ich meine, sucht ist, weil hat ein bisschen der erste, ich habe nicht gewatscht, der erste, kann nicht gewatscht, sondern schon release der erste, but kann dann dort, geht sie negativ, so du hast getreut sie unheiben mit mehr Positivity Note, like don't send the wolves, and just share my opinions, though. You know what I mean?
Watching this and listening to this, which is probably 95%, but there's still a percentage of people who aren't Orthodox or maybe not even Jewish. How would you describe to them the Satmar community?
Satmar community is like there's Orthodox, there's ultra-Orthodox, there's ultra-Orthodox, and then there's Satmar.
Interesting. Okay.
So Satmar is unlike other Hasidus. It's in a way very extreme, both in a good way, meaning in every aspect they are in the extreme version of something. For example, the Chesed, which means doing good.
Charity, good stuff, kindness.
Who beats Satmar? Nobody does. But at the same time, when it comes to holding an opinion, they would want everybody to think and believe like them because again, comes in the extreme. Everything comes with a good part and not such a
right.
good
Like
part.
anything in
everything
life
is a balance.
The good and bad.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, so going through your childhood, would you say you had a good childhood? Was it filled with challenges? What was it like for you?
I thought, should I answer good or bad? Now you gave me the opportunity to say it was full of challenges. So we're gonna kind of keep away from good or bad.
Try to wegzustehen von negativity, because it's schon gehad der erste. Ich darf sein der erste. Welcher mean shit talking hat getan? Was hat rausgelegt? Like what was he spewing? As I'm gefühlt, man darf noch mal machen. A zweiter.
Okay.
Because it's not really for us to say. Everything is meant and Hashem has a reason for
You
everything.
got here because of it,
Exactly. Every single part of my life. So really, it was very, very challenging in a way growing up and being, I consider myself an artist at least. And artists like to hunt for truth, hunt and try to understand things.
He's an artist that is hunting for truth. Weißt du, das ist ein Arzt für dem. Hat nur lieb zu hören der Emmes. Will wissen der Emmes. Ist nicht okay mit Just a Terrorist, weil so ist. Which, nicht jeder einer ist so. I would say, moi, ich bin so. Ein bisschen. Maybe ein bisschen. Ich inspired zu sein truthful, zu sein der Emmes. But I wouldn't call it as an artist.
And they want to be comforted and understood. And it's a little bit hard when you grow up in a way where, a path is drawn for you and you can't really do anything. Not that you can do anything yourself, it's just not built that way.
It's not part of the system.
Exactly.
Can you give an example, like something that you wanted to do or express yourself in a way that, like, the system, again, good, bad, whatever, it's just the system that it didn't allow you to be that, I guess, artist?
Okay, well, it's not limited to physical things. For example, you can't really sit now or you can't really stand now. It's just the way you grow up. It's really a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mindset of you joining whatever everybody else is doing. You can't be that one standing out, which is, again, not good or bad. It's just very, very challenging for people that naturally stand out in a way.
Like when you were a teenager, a young teenager, the way you dressed was like, white shirt, black pants, like the full Hasidic garb, I guess?
I grew up with the whole 9 yards. I grew up, with the white shirt, the black pants, all of it. Meaning,
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Sorry. Go
it's
ahead.
completely okay. It's not only a dress code. With a dress code comes responsibility. The dress code has to be worn, kept, be sacred, and it has to be not only respected, but it has to be a sample in a way.
Ja, das ist ein wichtiger Part, was man vergisst. Wenn die kotzt daran ein Mensch auf der Highway oder die bist rude sie ein Mensch und die Geist mit der Wahl nicht alles Guten. Oder, what I'm trying to say is, die kickst aus wie ein Hasidic Yid oder wie ein Yid. You are having the responsibility von alle Yiden nach dir. Das ist ein guter Point. Du hast die kannst du sagen, oh nein, ich bin ein Individual und ich represent nicht. Dann Levish represent. So you gotta respect it. A Yankee player, was geht ungeteam mit seinem Levish, kann ich ja sagen, oh nein, ich bin ein Individual. Die ist das in der Uniform, you represent it. In dem steht in die Gemüse, seine will ihn etwas nicht geht, soll sich hund in schwarz in er rausgehen von seinem Stutt. Soll es gehen in dorten und soll noch dem zurückkommen. Okay? So es hat zu tun mit der Levish. The represent,
Which is very challenging. Again, when you're expected to be a sample of something you don't really stand for or you don't want to stand for, what does this represent? Just kind of, it's either triggering to some people, meaning speaking in general, to some people it's triggering, to some people they can't handle it, to some people say, okay, you know what, this is it, then I'll just stick with it.
Did you or like learn any English in the system that you were in, or not really?
Okay, so here's what they do. They take it out.
Das ist, lass mal sagen, als ist 20. So, ich gewinne, ich gehe der 15 Uhr zurück. Na, lass mal sagen, 10 Uhr zurück. In 10 Uhr zurück noch gewinne, die Sache, was ich jetzt sagen. So,
which is Rebbe all day, and whatever, and he has to make a little extra money, and they get him to be a teacher, and that is the teaching of English.
Uh-huh.
So you have an hour of having fun / teachers trying to teach the English that he can or can't, meaning
Yeah. No, it's funny. Ironically, I'm asking about the English language, which you're giving an answer about the English subjects, which is a question that I had also. But I mean the English language. Like, is there any actual, like we're talking English now, is that spoken?
No, how would you speak English? Aber hat es nur a Schuhe, hat auch in keiner Rettes nicht. Und die sich kashim signs, deswegen hast du kashim Zeit zu practicen.
In that part of Williamsburg, or not really?
again, growing up, that was not the case. These days, it probably has changed as the whole world evolves at some point, and probably became a little bit more English, and a lot of more people understand English, and probably the teachers upgraded as well. But back then, the teachers were basically the whole day.
The question is, if Mataka upgraded the teachers. Ich bin sicher, ob the city oder the federal government hat gegeben mehr Geld upzugraden. Aber man ist definitely genommen, dort frage ich nicht. Question is, es hat trickle down to the actual teachers, to the actual kinder. Why would it? Why would you? Ich vereinfache mich jetzt auf der andere Seite. Why would they?
To teach English, and they don't really know English, so
Right.
it was just an hour of having fun and getting, the principal coming in and coming out, and that was our English lecture.
So what was your parents' relationship with you like? Was it contentious? Were you fighting all the time, or was it, they were more on your side, but like you're just trying to find yourself? Like how did that dynamic work?
Again, I always loved them, and they always loved me.
By the way, the ganze idea of finding yourself, aber hat einen interessanten Twist, einen interessanten Take of it. Einer gesagt, der Riesen, warum die Jiden sind zusammen, ist because bei der Dratzen, wenn du weißt, aber Mitzvah-Bucher, hast du schon Responsibilities, die da sind ein Jid, noch dem Bechassen oben. Hast du keine Zeit, sie gehen, sie sich sichern. In Amerika, in the West, hat man herangelegt, dass er sagt, man geht sich treffen. We're gonna find yourself. Ja, wie lange du treffst dich, bist du schon verloren noch einmal. So, die Idee, sich zu treffen. Kennst du, meint mehr also wie independent, mehr also wie zu experiencen life, weg von der Play, weil weg von deinem Haus, allein zu gehen, immer für Lunch, Breakfast, Lunch und Supper, in dein eigenes Haus, deine eigenen Sachen. I would say, this is was I meinen, du.
And I know it. Again, I didn't always know it, obviously, from a kid's mind. Oh my gosh, your parents do something against you, they totally hate you. Meaning that's just how a kid thinks. But now looking back, obviously, they never hated me, and I never hated them. I always loved them. They always loved me. Now, again, it was a little challenging because them growing up, they were completely okay with following a path. And I was not really okay with that. And they tried to make me become that person that is okay to follow any path. And that was not really an option for me. That's not what I wanted. I always wanted to stand out. I wanted to be, in a way, I wanted to be like everybody else because if you're different and nobody understands you, it's rather to be felt and understood rather than just standing out and just being alone and nobody understanding you. So again, sometimes I made that choice as well, just to be in a system which is not really okay for me, but I just wanted for people to understand me and be alike with other people. Just
A Sachmenschen, sei a Sachmenschen, because in unserer biology, muss man sein in a community. Community is safe. Allein in the Wald is tot. You're not going to survive. So, dann inner dich will sein mit anderen. So, die Geist kann formen. Nehmen wir auch früher gesagt, sind nicht die Menschen, was heißt er weggehen? Einer, was geht nicht ungetein, das meint er weggehen? Oder er publicly er weggehen? So, doch du hinderte Menschen in the mind, was sind er weggehen?
and the Gemara says, "Oy chavrisa, oy masisa." It's either you have, meaning the idea of it is that social life is extremely important and it's literally part of people, regardless if you're introverted or extroverted. You really need to have people in your life. So it was very important for me, and it was really challenging. My parents seeing that I can't really get along with the things that they can get along and the things that they're okay with, I'm not okay with, because they love me and wanted me to have a good life like they believe that they have, and they believe that the good life they have is the good life everybody should. While everybody has his way and everybody tries to be what they can and the best they can.
So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
We are 5 altogether, all boys.
All boys, right?
A gang.
And you're the oldest?
I'm second to the oldest, which is actually a very good thing, because if I would have been the oldest, I would have probably had a harder time with my parents being the sample of the family.
Right.
While I was the second one, I was a little, they weren't that harsh.
Interesting. Okay, so was there a certain point in your childhood where just everything blew up for you, that you're like, this acknowledgement of like, this is not working for me?
It wasn't necessarily that one moment that threw over the whole pail, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, I can't anymore. It was more of a process, me understanding, okay, there's a whole world that was hidden from me, and I would love to explore that and see that. And I was always that kind of guy, meaning when I was a child, I always tried to find more things, find out new things. I read tons of books, and I tried the very best to understand what I don't understand.
Wenn sagt, dass geleint books, kann nehmen a few books, like leinen Teilen von Tzadikim. Ja, es leinen books, oder Kindergerecht, oder is not considered leinen. Again, it's considered leinen. I'm not gonna, Ich habe das auch nicht getan, but I'm just saying, wenn sucht Line and Books, he's coming off, als ist gegangen, hat eine Library Card, und gekannt ihn, was will in dem Library. Was will. In a sense. But I just don't know. I don't know if books gewesen okay in sein Haus, welche meine Books. Nur jüdische Books. Like, what's up? Welche Books? Und will man wissen.
What am I missing? I always felt like there's something missing, meaning that can't be my whole entire world. The world is so big. For this to be my whole world, that is way too small in relativity, and I would love to explore more. And I started to explore a little bit more, and then I realized, okay, there are more ways, and if that form of Judaism doesn't work for me, it doesn't mean it's bad, meaning it works for many other people, but let me try to find my own path, and that's when I started my journey.
Okay, so take us through it. What was your steps to, I guess, find yourself or the path for you? Like, where did you go first?
The first challenge that I had was,
So die was jetzt expected, a major wäre gegangen. Right? But I think that's what's missing in the...
in Baruch Hashem, in most communities, we grow up knowing that Masoret is something super important. And me, the hardest challenge was really, me within myself was a fight. Am I staying? Am I leaving? If I'm leaving, am I still good? Am I staying? Am I doing something good? Because maybe I want to leave. Maybe the right thing for me is to leave. Again, leaving doesn't mean just get out of here. It means, try to find your own path. So it was a little bit...
So meint ja gar weg. Kann auch nicht physical weg ein, but mental. Right? Weg ein mentally ist eine Sache schwerer, weil du kannst auch sagen, weg ein physically von einem Mensch, aber du kannst doch halt trachten für einen over and over, kann hast du mal so viel Real Estate in deinem Mind, that you didn't move on. You didn't went next. Du stehst noch bei der ersten und die... So...
The biggest challenge was making sense of Masoret, which I got clarity on actually this year. I got a new understanding of Masoret, which is very interesting. You mind to share?
Sure, please.
You're really going to like this one. Masoret to everybody is, my father did X, Y, Z. Let me do X, Y, and Z. He didn't do S. I'm not going to do S or X or whatever. Now, Masoret to me is very meaningful and is very important, and I interpret it in a very interesting way. The idea is very simple. These days, because we can fall a little bit, the Madraigas, let's go this way. Everything is a balance. Everything is a balance in life. So when Hashem sent us down in a generation so far from the original generation, so we have much more challenges, we can get up to much higher places. Everybody that can go very high can also go very low. If you can't go very low, means you can't go very high. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. Meaning, again, I think it's subjective. It's not objective, mm-hmm. But again, it's my humble opinion. Now, when someone can go very low, he can also go very high. Now, what happens these days is people are on a roller coaster. Some people can be a tzaddik one day, and the next day they, because they can be such a big tzaddik, they can go so low. Now, going back in generations, they weren't able to go so low.
Redt von feelings? Like, eindelijk fühlt man so, und eindelijk fühlt man so? Because how do you know? Wieso weißt du, sie haben hit the target von seiner tzaddik oder hit the target von seiner low? Und ich like converted it einmal.
They were more stable people. So my interpretation of Masoret these days is that I want to learn from the stability they had, although I can go higher and lower because we're in a dar where we can go lower.
Wer sagt das meint Masoret? Geht da like sie eigene Sachen, das ist, was Masoret meint. Eine kleine Sache. Nein? Ich habe gemeint, als, wie sagt man? Aminik ist wie eine Luche. Selbe Sache, das meint Masoret. Das ist überbekommen von deinem Tata. Dein Tata geht in whatever, RNS, oder wie sagt, das geht in RNS. Aber nicht, ist nicht Masoret. Macht ein bisschen mental gymnastics.
That we can go higher as well. And I would love to make that as into my Masoret and learn from the stability they had, being able to just being more in a flow rather than going up and down so intensively.
Interesting. Okay, so I want to...
Ja, aber das meint nicht Masoret. Die will sein in mehr stable. Just a regular stable. Still, die Menschen sind auf Meds. Geht man darauf auf Meds, man redt zu der Doktor, sie geht darauf, the dosage, rupt the dosage, man geht daher, dahin. Basically, was alle willen is stability. So, will stability. Zusammengemischt mit Masoret, I don't know. Ich sage ganz scheine teure, aber gern. Es bleibt noch teure. I gotta give it that. Or...
Very cool take on it. I want to go through like your actual journey. Were you at a certain point, this may feel uncomfortable, I just want to ask it, were you at a certain point considered, in quotes, off the darach, meaning not part of your system?
Ich verstehe nicht the question.
I'll tell you what, I didn't always look like that. Obviously, when you become a teenager and you start to realize, oh my gosh, okay, a lot that we missed and we're going to come back to, but just to stick to this one, I didn't always look like this, meaning now I look beautiful with my beard, my face, we call it the Samgeneman. I look like a gentleman.
Right, yeah.
Ja, kiekst aus zusammengenommen, kiekst aus einer, was hat sich lieb, scheine Hur, scheine Pious, herrliche Gläser, Gucci Belt. Ist doch definitely lieb. In a positive way. It's zusammengenommen. Classy.
Always
You
look
look like a cool
that.
chassid. You know, you have a white shirt, but you have the buttons that have like blue in it. You know what I mean?
Oh, der kleine, ist da cool gehustet. Halt sich zurück von so a Tuna-Beigel. Halt sich zurück.
And your payas are like slick payas, you know? So it's you have the both best of both
I
worlds.
really love to see how people see the perspective
Yeah,
of a chused that is trying to leave or whatever. Someone that wasn't a chused, it's amazing, fascinating. I would love to have I would love to have that perspective for once. It's interesting. Now, going back to the conversation, I didn't always look like that. Meaning, obviously, every teenager that wants to become cool, and my interpretation of cool was, okay, I'm going to wear shorts, I'm going to wear tank tops, and
Das ist seine Interpretation. Das meint nicht, aber jeder hat eine Interpretation of cool. Ich denke, wenn halten der Gartel niedrig, ich gewinne cool. In der Bäcketje, I don't know if that was a style, aber in der Back von der Bäcketje pflegt man, wenn man macht den Gartel, ich kenne es an Schein, so Menschen pflegen machen als ehrlich zusammengezogen, whatever. Hab mich Gas gewinnt. Ich weiß nicht, if it ever picked up steam or not. Hello, Hershey.
just be that cool kid. I dyed my hair blonde, and I was that cool kid going around being that.
Oh, by the way, like, share, and subscribe. Zelf roast me in the channel tremendously. So, thank you for that. You know? And a kleine like. Booby. All right, back to inspiration for the nation.
Kind of a hipster chused, whatever.
Interesting.
And it was a very interesting experience. But again, obviously, that was not the route that I wanted to take. It's just part of the process of growing up and
Right.
realizing, okay, you know, you have to settle down, you have to become a balanced person. You know, there's a world and you have to deal with it.
Okay, so before we get to Robbie, you
Man weiß noch, ich wäre gefahren. Man weiß noch, ich wäre gegangen. Man weiß noch gar nicht. I'm just pointing it out there.
I don't know the timeline. You at a certain point were on the streets. Was that before?
Okay, so I was in Satmar. Satmar didn't really work for me. At some point, they ended up, meaning I was thrown out of yeshiva. They took me back, but they made me feel like they're going to do me a whole favor, that they're going to take me back. And I'm like, okay, I'm not in the business of feeling like I'm someone.
They were doing you a favor. Because I'm dich nicht gewollt. Wir nehmen bis gewähnen in draußen originally. Sie haben noch getracht, also man hat dich herausgeworfen, sind nicht der Outside-Welt. Ich schrecke dich, als ist der zurückkommen. Weißt du, die Taktik arbeitet, aber at least that's from their side, their point of view.
Mitzvah. Let me just, you know, let's just call it quits.
Mhm.
And I just left. And then I was in. Then it was a little bit complicated. Meaning I was on the streets for a few months trying to find out where.
In was heißt Streets? Einer geschrieben in der Comment. Ist gewähnt homeless? Man hat ihn rausgeworfen von daheim? Oder meint zu sagen Streets über den Tag wegen ihrer Yeshiva? Was meint sein on the streets? But es kann auch sein, dass Brooklyn sagt Streets, you know, by the corner. Es ist andere mean slang, es ist andere mean Ausdruck.
Next, what am I doing? It was the middle of the summer. Everybody was in the camp, so I was lonely. I didn't have anybody to tank with, even at night, because everybody was in the camps upstate. So it was a little bit challenging these few months, and then I started hearing God's music.
Before that, what, like actively, what did you do?
Als geht der kleine Sache? I started hearing, lass mal das überreden. Ga machen slow. Zurück bringen speed.
But challenging these few months, and then I started hearing God's music.
Before that,
Ah, so mich geht geirrt, okay. Ich habe früher gesagt, dass es kann uns reden von Joeli Roth. And if you hear, wie sagt, I started hearing Roth's music, but so much as wie gecut. I'm sorry, ich gebe raus the secret. I'm so sorry. All right? But, like, if the editor nicht geht,
Months, and then I started hearing God's music.
before
That
that,
was-
what like actively, what did you do? Were you working? Were you just like walking around?
kennst du der inspirational guy, du? Hat gemeint, als geht kommen von einer point of view, als gewinnt in einer community, sagt mir. In Odem ist gegangen zu Joeli Roth. In Joeli Roth ist Cult, but will nicht echt hacken, der Cult. So es hat ein Mix. Kennst du gemeint, als man geht reden von Cults, oder something like that, like his outburst, nicht outburst, nee? Schick an andere Werte mal. Der Weg wird sich herausgerissen von einer Cult. Wenn wir sind ein Cult, können darf man realisieren, wir sind ein Cult. Because es ist bequem können. So kennst du diese gewesen seine initial idea von im Interviewen. Ich vergesse nicht, das ist der zweite, mehr relaxed. Und jetzt hat schon mehr information. Kennst du, versteht ihn. But the andere Menschen, ins Viewers, verstehen nicht gehörig because we have no information.
Were you doing drugs? Like, where were you at?
So, Baruch Hashem, it's a good thing. And again, like I said, everything is a balance. Every single thing in life is a balance. And I can't stress this enough because they call it a control freak. I always like to control myself. Baruch Hashem, I don't like to control others, but at least myself, I try to be in control of.
Stell, ob du bist der Kontrollfreak, bist der Kontroll. Haltst dich an bei der zweiten, sagst du? Oder du willst nicht in einem Kontroll? Bist doch kein Kontrollfreak. Weil bist der Kontrollfreak of the temperature?
So I never really found an interest in either alcohol, drugs, or any type of any things that would
Vice,
make you
bad
escape.
vice, right.
Meaning the ultimate idea of people trying to take alcohol, weed, or whatever it is, they try to escape something that they can't handle. Me, I was so desperate to handle everything that I ran away from every escape. Not in a good way, but it ended up being a good thing because Baruch Hashem, I never got into alcohol, drugs, or things like that.
Right. It's interesting because I guess the feelings that you got when you're growing up, you're always feeling controlled. So those vices, I guess, would make you lose control. And you're like, no. The very thing that I'm running after is to have that control.
100%. This is exactly what it was. Meaning now looking back, that was the trigger for me to always want to be in control because control, it wasn't taken away from me. I just never got it. I found myself at 13 for the first time being in control in any shape, form, or way of myself.
How does a 13-year-old all of a sudden have control all over the ganze Sache? The hit, the Twillencake, was macht da, like, all of a sudden bei der Dratzen hat sich Sachen gechanged, like what happened? Just simply sein Dratzen? Again, ich try nicht herauszubringen, ich kann da nicht kommen auf ein bit, hallo, aber nehmen es mit a grain of salt, okay? We're just having fun.
Everything is left for you, done for you. The path is drawn for you, and now it's the first time. Okay, I can breathe, I can do things, I can. Really, it's all an illusion because we're not really in control of ourselves. There's Hashem, and it only brings anxiety living in the illusion that you're in control. But it at least felt very good, at least in the beginning.
So is in control, is nicht in control, is a control freak. Like what's happening? Oder kann dann sucht is a control freak. A. B. Gearbeitet auf sich nicht zu kontrollen andere, just as here. That helped them not being on drugs, which is a pretty good twist. Like, I never thought about that. Like, Wissenschaft of drugs, because die Wissenschaft läuft, wir sind in control. Okay. Und nachdem suchst du, wir sind nicht in control, oder der Chef ist in control. So, das meint, dass du schon gearbeitet auf den Ganzen, du bist auch der Control-Freak. Wie stehen wir noch? Und by the way, ich try mich herauszubringen. It's just, I want to understand that. Die Geist darauf auf a podcast und die redest, you're gonna leave open stuff. It's gonna proben. It's gonna, so wie in the comments. Da will wissen. Bobby.
To be in control, making my own decisions, and so on.
Okay, so then you started hearing music.
Yeah, so this is an interesting story. I heard this music, and again, I'm not going to sing it in Yiddish here because there's no point. Most people here don't understand Yiddish, and you guys should totally learn. But it's an important language to know. So
this is important to know, weil es ist Yiddish oder noch a language? Like, wie hilft daraus Yiddish? Besides, ob die kommst nicht von a Yiddish-speaking background, wie hilft das daraus? Besides, ob die hast Friends, was reden Yiddish, weißt die Friends, was man kommt sich zusammen, und sie do einem better half, versteht nicht Yiddish, so ist der ganze, darf reden Englisch, und der ganze Gruppe von Hasidim reden Englisch, und ich hab's so bequem. Sie soll sich Tag auslernen Englisch. Ich meine Jiddisch. No. That's it.
I heard music of if you find yourself in the depth of the acid heart and whatever, you shouldn't give up and whatever. And it was the first time I heard someone singing out of raw emotion without the words exactly clicking with a song, rhyming with a song or whatever. Just the whole beauty of the song is it being pure. And this is what pulled me most because what I was looking for all my life was purity and truth. So this is the first time I felt a sense of truth somewhere, and I ran after that with my life. I really wanted to catch that and get it into me. What does truth feel like? What does that raw purity feel like? And this is how I got drawn into it. If not for music, I wouldn't have been there in the first place.
Interesting. Okay, fine. So could you break us down?
Es macht auch Sinn. Joli wrote Get Heraus Music. Nicht the shine, like, it's not about, sein Music is nicht about orchestras and shine. It's not the goal. It's the message that brings. Cheros asach muzam neginam. So a Dvikas type of song. You're not listening to Yoeli Roth. Oy meret van Yoeli Roth. You don't listen to Yoeli Roth while it's competition with Malcolm and David. You know, the eerste most bij brengt er also a certain advice, a certain. So wie zoekt, a raw emotion.
What exactly is system and your experience with it?
We could talk about it for hours, obviously, which is time that we don't have, but I'll give it to you in a very, very simple description. There's the community, meaning obviously I was drawn into it, and there's an interesting way that he has of accepting people, meaning officially he doesn't really reject anybody, but he wants to know that you want to be there strong enough. He doesn't want people to come in and be like, oh my gosh, this doesn't work for me. Okay, let me leave.
Like commitment. He wants commitment.
He wants commitment. And the way he does it, again, in my humble opinion, it's a little bit manipulative. He kind of pushes you away to a point where you yourself want to prove to yourself, okay, I want him to accept me because he pushes me away, and you run after it. And then after a few months, pushing you.
He wants to make you want it. Will nicht wie es an laufen von daheim, kannst du herkommen parken. Ich gebe ihm nicht gerecht or whatever. I'm just saying. Will machen sicher, dass die willst du sein. Ich habe gejoint a program, whatever. In sie haben auch gestresst. The meeste. You're not doing a favor to anybody. If you're here, show up. Be on time. Be here like you want to, like you mean it. Nicht tam, tis nicht keiner Mateuwe.
You want to get so desperately and you want it so much, that's when he just gives you that hug that you waited for all your life. And
Interesting.
like, oh my gosh, okay? And then you just kind of get stuck there.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah.
So to my perspective, I'll tell you what, some people are meant for a path to be drawn for them. And in that case, meaning they don't want to have a mind on their own. In that case, well, that's a great place because what he does is he takes over your mind. He takes over everything you stand for, everything, all your decisions, and he does it for you.
Meaning just to paint it, like it's a system.
Also wie ist aufgewachsen. Also wie hat für dir gesucht. Es ist ein System. Me helft dich, die pickst da weg, in die pickst es. Das meint, dass die Geist bekommen alle Help, sie können durchgehen. So wie kalt.
Subscribe to the system that
But
he's
it's not only subscribe, the system becomes you. You are not yourself anymore. You can forget about anything you stand for, your personality, your color, meaning he decides if you're the color red, he's going to decide you're yellow, you become yellow. It's just whatever is being whatever is being drawn for you, that's who you have to become, and that is it.
Interesting. Okay.
So for me personally, I found myself after a year and a half not being myself, and it felt absolutely horrible. Meaning I'm a guy that, originally, naturally, I wanted to be myself, want to hunt for truth and whatever. For someone to give me a definition of truth and say hunt for the truth and automatically you're going to find what he wants you to find, what's the point of that? Again, for some people it's made, but for people that want to be truth hunters and they want to really find themselves in a pure way, in a healthy way, I don't really think it's the right approach for someone to take over your life and just guide you, because in that case, it could have stayed in Satmar. Well, if Satmar didn't work for me, why would this? And again, he kind of gives you a perspective of truth and he makes you find it by him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I'm describing it well, but I'm just trying
It's
to
a bit
remember that.
esoteric.
Als Emmas, is es Emmas. Was heißt Zan Emmas? Sind wir du blue-haired, wie heißt das? My truth is the truth. Sie do the Emmas, and that's it. Dort endigt sich es. Oder du alle anderes, sind nicht Emmas. Kezan, treibt zu sagen, als macht ihm viel wie in daheim. Ist in daheim. Comfortable. That could be. And by the way, comfortable might not shameless. Comfortable might just comfortable.
But and like mysterious, what you're explaining. But
That's exactly the community. The community is very mysterious. The Rosh Hashiva, we call him the Rosh Hashiva. He's very interestingly close to the Litvish communities, where the Rosh Hashivas are the respectable people, but this is not the same. Meaning, it's not viewed in the same way as Rosh Hashiva by the Litvish people.
right, it seems more like a Rebbe to me.
Not only a Rebbe, he's more than a Rebbe, a mentor, a father, someone you almost. I'm not sure if this is the right word to use, but people almost worship him.
Interesting.
He's superior in a way.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Interesting. We're definitely gonna. I think it's very interesting, but we're definitely gonna beep out who we're talking about. Meaning, obviously,
Do you get a feeling, als me gaat nog herausheden van, ooit me red van jenem, van Joili, me gaat nog heden stories. Ze gaat nog herauskomen en zeggen, het gassene gemacht Menschen bei der 16, 17, do you think we're gonna hear stories? En we gaan zeggen, oh, where were we? Was hat man nicht gekannt in Deus? Was hat man nicht gekannt in Jens? Oh. Kennen Sie jetzt beruht sich die stories? I don't know. Is wie eerder de eerste crack.
about anyone listening, like I don't like, because I definitely, we're careful about potentially, it's obviously your experience. So we don't want to take that away, but at the same time, we don't want to,
right.
throw them on the boss, what I mean?
Exactly. I just want to be clear. I don't consider him a cult, and I do find it working for some people. Some people are on the streets, and they're meant to be led by people,
Right.
and they got led by very unhealthy people. So the most important thing for them was being led by someone that actually brings them to at least Hashem, saying Brukim Mishnayos and so on, and doing so many beautiful things,
Right.
respecting your parents and so on. So at least they're being led by someone original, someone that really someone that happens to be wants what would be good for them. And that's the way they're being led. But
Right.
again, if someone is not supposed to be led, meaning worshiping someone and having them being in control and owning your life, your mind, everything you stand for, is the absolute furthest from what I'm trying to accomplish. So
Okay, so when you realize
Man kann es auch riefen wie a stepping stone. Dort gewesen für ein Jahr und ein halb. He gained knowledge, geworden stärker mit sich. Und nachdem ist weggegangen. Man kann es twisten auf als positive.
this isn't working for you,
Look at this, Viggy dreht in masses von positivity. Who knew?
what was your next step? Where did you want to go after that?
then kind of my whole world collapsed on me because he kind of put me, we actually called it in the past interview, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, just to clarify for anyone listening, this is the second time I was doing it, and I thought it was actually very thoughtful on your part. You're like, there's certain things I said, certain energy I thought was too negative, and I'm like, hey, let's do this again. So, but yeah, go on.
Here I am. I just want to come off as the positive person I actually am. And that's
Yeah, but adios gehad the emotions. In die bist gewinn negative about something. In me ken sein negative. Nicht me ken, weil me ken. Sag man darf man sein negative. Sag man darf man sharen the real emotion. Man kann nicht ewig... Viel ein positive Mensch, was 100% positive, hat auch ein negative. Es ist nicht a one size fit all. Es ist, you gotta use your head. There's a reason for was in Strach man negative. Ja, es ist geht auf a Sachen, aber it's still a mechanism was hält uns alive, right? So, also wie die alle Fears was in Sommer. Es ist nicht 100% schlecht, because that what keeps us alive. Man darf nur wissen, the balance. So I guess, auf der erste hat just geöffnet am Mol und hat's gelost, wie heißt es? Hat's gelost da rauskommen. Hat a change of heart. Change of heart.
So after my whole world came crashing down on me because someone was thinking for me for a year and a half straight. And growing up all my life, people were thinking for me instead of me doing the thinking. So for the first time, having a mind on your own, and oh my gosh, there's a real world with real problems. It really smacks you sometimes. You really have to know how to take it. You really have to be prepared for this. And nobody obviously prepared me because it was not really an option to be prepared for. So my whole world came crashing.
Wieso kann dich einer preparen? Dan Tata, dan Mama, was haben nicht derselbe, lass mich nicht jetzt sagen, gerecht oder nicht, but hat nicht derselbe Outlook. Die können dich nicht protecten auf something, wo sie weiß nicht, wie viel man darf protecten, weil sie sind noch auch in der System. Dann Yeshiva, wo sollen sie sich auslernen? Wo soll man haben a head coach in a Yeshiva, wenn man hat nicht Sports, you know? Keiner hat schon mal head coach in a Yeshiva und Sports. A sport is the head coach. Get what I'm saying?
On me, and I was on the streets for a few months, not even knowing who I am, because who I am was taken away from me.
In ogen er is schon de zweite Mal gewesen auf de streets. Fahr joli blieb, en nog joli blieb.
And who am I? What is this? I found myself like a 15-year-old newborn. That would be the very best description I can give it is I felt like a 15-year-old newborn. Oh my gosh, this is the real world. I'm in a
Hebben de 15 gewesen in de story. Like, het is getroffen bij de 15 Elling Alliance.
life. New alphabets. Everything is brand new. I never heard this. I never understood this. This is the first time I have to deal with it, and it just came crashing down on me. I couldn't handle myself, to be honest.
Wow. Okay. So how did you get out of that rut?
So I always had a habit of getting to know people, socializing, and sharing my pain instead of keeping it in me. A lot of people call me an open book. I always like to share, and for many of my friends that are probably going to be watching this,
Gedenk wie zoekt, dat is een open book. En ik wil niet schoon maken van hem, maar ik wil hem eens herbrengen. But du zoekt dat is een open book.
they're not going to be machadish or anything. No, honestly,
Yeah.
they know everything about. I'm not the guy to hide and try to eat myself up about things. I always let go. And again, I try to my very best on things you really can't let go. But not you can't, you won't. But I always try to be as open as I can, so I don't store garbage and at some point for it to pop. So
Okay. Ga me een beetje correcten. Ik ga ongeknijd doen, ik een punchline. Wat hij zoekt doen, als hij try the best. Zo, ik zie terug. I was... Ik ga gewoon gaan voor een major punchline in a few minutes.
I found myself surrounded with many good people that try to guide me, and that is a very good thing that I always try to build I call it the networking circle these days, but it's really friendship, family, and family that you can actually choose, not only the family you're born with. And these people really helped me and guided me. And someone once told me, you know what, why don't you try Barry Weber? I'm like, what do you mean Barry Weber? You mean the singer? He's like, yeah. Like, what does the singer? What do you mean I try? I'm like, do I go for voice lessons or become a singer? What do I do? He's like, he has a yeshiva. And this was the shock of my life. A celebrity having a yeshiva. How does that work together?
Right.
And I started doing my research, looking up their Instagram account. To someone getting a smartphone is a whole
Just imagine, ich weiß nicht wie alt, aber lass mal sagen, du bist älter. Und die sagst, ja, ich wollte reingehen in eine weitere Yeshiva. Ich hatte eine Cousin actually in eine weitere Yeshiva. So, ich habe raufgegangen auf der Yeshivas Instagram. Ich habe gesehen, wo das ist. Ich habe gesehen, der Chef's Facebook-Account. That was funny. That was funny. Du kannst mal sehen, the difference in ages. Like, als ik wil wissen wegen beide Babys Yeshiva, ga auf Instagram. Hello. What are you missing? Bist in the boomers? Huh? Bist alt? Come up with the new ages. Facebook page. Wussten Sie, gaan wir du poken einem? Wegen denk poke auf Facebook. Alright. Zurück zu der episode.
Big deal, meaning, as you can understand, you live in a community, it's very similar to Amish, at least for people from the outside looking at the Amish community and the Hasidic community, it is very, very similar, especially Waynesburg, Monroe versus Bar Park, Monsey, which is a little bit more, we're going to call it open-minded for the sake of the conversation, for the lack of a better word. So that was it for me. So it was a big deal. Obviously, joined every channel, every single thing, everything I could learn new, everything that can make me more being part of the bigger society of the world. And that's when someone told me to go follow Barry Weber's Yeshiva, and I started doing my research. Who are they and what are they like? And it was a very interesting story. I wanted to get into Barry Weber's Yeshiva, and you can absolutely share this. Meaning, this is a very cool piece of information. As I really want to.
Bro, du bist auf a podcast. Was heißt you can share this information? Bist du getracht? Got share information? Bist du auf a podcast? But I get what you're saying. Gestrisches, also verbal-risches. Okay, ich will nicht so scharf. VIGGY, chillax.
Barry Weber's Yeshiva. My father told me, not a chance, not happening. I tried to ask him why, and he was like, you're going to be away. You're going to be in Monsey.
But just imagine, gewinnt 15, sucht gehen auf den Gas, but an Taten, ich wollte sie ganze Monsey zu Barry Weber's Yeshiva. Ich gemeint, bis gehen auf den Gas. So I'm guessing, Gas hat nicht gemeint homeless. Gas hat gemeint, dass du hast keine Yeshiva. So bist du aufgestanden früh, bist da rausgegangen, davenen, and then you am Shichala with your day. Es gehen verloren, weil das nicht gehabt kein place wie sie callen station. You know, es got kein classroom.
The way you want, and I perfectly understand it from a father's perspective, having your son living in Monsey, knowing he's a rebel and he just wants to do whatever he wants.
Right.
Meaning this can end very, very badly.
Yeah, but he's already doing it. He's already badly. He's already got schon in the gas. Like essentially wie say prior. Oh, das weiß man nicht, wenn er rugen in wenn er change on look. So a bisschen erst sagen später. Well, he will not. Okay, I'm going to do next. By the way, wie lange ga je do next from the advertisement? Please like, share, and subscribe. So helped me in the channel out tremendously, so thank you for that. And the mention was kennen. Werden a channel member, hat also helfen, because meine Videos werden demonetized, is greatly appreciated. And ich will sagen, thank you for the members was dann showing. Apart from the channel, thank you everybody. Really appreciate it. All right, I'm Shichala.
Go there knowing that this is a place that is going to build me. He's going to let loose enough for me to experience myself enough to feel comfortable, but at the same time, he's going to be guiding me in a very healthy and loving way for that.
Sweet stuff.
So my father didn't want me to go to Barry Weber's Yeshiva. I really, really wanted to go there, knowing that this is a place that is going to build me. He's going to let loose enough for me to experience myself enough to feel comfortable, but at the same time, he's going to be guiding me in a very healthy and loving way for me to nourish my need to be in control of myself, but at the same time, guiding me in the right places. So at the same time, I feel in control, and not in a manipulative way, just in a way of me being able to be myself, but at the same time being guided in the right direction and opening specific doors and showing, you know what, this might be the right direction for you, this might be the right direction for you, and so on. So I really wanted to go. I called up one of the amazing staff members in Barry Weber's Yeshiva, Hasidic Pecker. This guy's unbelievable. And I called him up, had a talk with him. He had a talk with a cousin that I was very close to at the time, getting an understanding of who I am and so on. And Zachariah Pecker told me, are you sure your parents are okay with this? Because we have a rule that the parents have to be on one page with the staff here, and
Right.
they have to be okay with you being a yeshiva. So I told him, yeah, sure, my parents are completely okay with. So Zachariah Pecker told me, okay, well, if your parents are okay with you coming here in yeshiva, I'd love to set up an interview. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. And I told my parents, what did I do? I couldn't tell my parents to set up an interview without your permission, because they're gonna be like, hey, we were always completely open with the fact that we're completely not okay with you going away from home. So I told my parents, actually, Barry Weber with the staff decided they're gonna do you a favor and they're gonna let you.
So sie haben nicht gewollt, dass wir gehen von daheim. Hier kurz, kann ich gehen auf den Gas. All right. Kleine tidbits of information.
Come in, not for an interview. They're going to let you know what the yeshiva is all about and give you an understanding of what the yeshiva is like. So my parents, I told that this is just going to be a schmooze where we're just going to have you guys are going to get an understanding of what the yeshiva is going to be like. And for the yeshiva, I told this is a complete interview. This is not a waste of time. So it just became perfect. And I walk into this and
Gotta give him that. That was a very clever move. The way gesagt, das Maß begann. Toen called die Yeshiva, gesagt, ich will reinkommen. Zij sagen, ich sag mir seine Eye-to-Eye mit den Taten. In Mammen. Steht man. Ein Zitat der Mama gesagt, nein, es ist nicht kein Interview, es ist nur ein Kim Kick. Leiger an Fies, Kim Kick. Sei, smart move. Aber auch es war, dass die Communication, als das gekannt ihn. You know, gekannt sagen, was gegleibt, was nicht gekallt, hat ihm sein Back. But we gave him some autonomy.
And Barry Weber starts with his rules. He has 3 no's and 3 yeses. 3 no's meaning the do's and the don'ts from the yeshiva, and that is the core rules, meaning just for you to be able to possibly grow in this place, these are the rules. And very, very interesting story, pretty long story. At the end, my parents decided, you know what, this might be a good fit for me, and I went into Barry Weber's yeshiva, which was one of the greatest things I've ever experienced.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that transformation, but I'm curious if you remember, what are the 3 do's and don'ts?
So again, we might have to do some peeps here. He has no weed, which is meaning if you escape, I can't really help who you are, because who you are is not really who you are anymore.
Okay, makes sense. Ja, wissen ich, da haben sie sagen, lazy all day long. Well, kind of action von lazyism.
No girls, because it's one of the biggest distractions. And no abuse between the boys. Don't disrespect no physical violence. Nothing between the boys. Just keep yourself to yourself, be respectful about it, and so on. The 3 yeses, I do not remember them, unfortunately. I think it's, number one, you have to be committed and you have to actually come yourself. Nobody has to be you shouldn't have been convinced to come here. You have to want to come yourself, which is the only one and probably the most important one. And I do remember that one. And I'll always remember this one.
So what happened there that, like, you had such a different experience than your entire life?
Okay, number one, it was Muncie. It was much more, I'm going to say, again, open-minded for the lack of a better word. It was a much more open place where I was exposed to much more. For example, in Williamsburg, when you daven a shield, you daven with other Satmar people that think alike and so on. Here,
Kimmen von einer von Monroe. Ich habe gar nicht gewusst, dass die Kims in Wilhelmsburg ist nur gedauert mit Satmara. Sie kennen gar nicht zu Belze Schiel. Sie kennt daran wachen zu Puppe. This is a genuine question, was ich frage. Like in Monroe, nicht gewinnt kein anderer Schiel. Es ist nur gewinnt Satmar. So, in Wilhelmsburg ist a Puppe nicht daran in Satmar, a Satmar nicht daran in a Spinke Schiel, Davanan, Chachras, Minche. Sie kennen das gesagt? Oder andere Schiel, sind nur gewinnt Satmar? What am I missing? Or maybe I don't understand. Ken zan, as in Satmar, a Satmar Bucher geht nur in Satmar Schiel. Wo siehst du in Puppe?
in Muncie, there's a Shiner Shul, there's Breslov Shuls, there's so much to experience and explore and so on. And there are so many people and so many great perspectives you can get in life just because you have such a diversity of people you can learn from and very healthy people. Again, a diverse place comes with, again, there's a balance, good and bad, but it was much the most amazing thing for me because I heard so many great perspectives and it was the first time someone was willing to have arguments and conversations about belief and faith, things that were sacred and untouchable conversations became completely.
Okay, I fangt toen du, guys on more dedicated questions, right? We're getting ready around again in the questions. Remember that.
Possible and open it was admired and actually it was
Encouraged?
Exactly. It was really encouraged to have these type of conversations, really get an understanding what do you stand for. If you don't know what you stand for, how can you stand for it strongly? They want in Barry Weber's yeshiva, the goal was for people to be built on stable grounds. For your ground to become stable and strong enough for you to know what you stand for and not to move from that. Whatever this might be. It doesn't necessarily have to be very I'm not sure if religious is the right word, but it didn't have to be in a specific setting or a specific life. Whatever you want to stand for, just stand for it strongly. And that was the core goal, which was set. Again, in my opinion, Barry might be disagreeing with me that he has many other things that were very prioritized other than this, but this was a priority for me that I learned from this place, which is amazing. It gave me really stable and concrete ground for me to stand on and build from there.
That's incredible. Okay, so then at what point did you transition to Israel?
Just like an andere Werte, ich bin nicht sicher, but Esche meint zu sagen mehr confidence, man heißt Bucher im Team mehr Sachen. You know, if you know somebody, will werden a Singer, oder will werden a Schreiber, will werden a Farmer. But wie, was, when? So, lass mal sagen, als man encourage them and man get them the knowledge dafür. Is that what it means? Like, destabilization meint Show their clue.
So Barry Weber has he evaluates the boys. Obviously, constantly it keeps going. He has staff meetings and he gets an idea of okay, where's everybody standing? People got in here. I have a goal for these kids, and he has a custom package for anybody. It's not a one size fits all, obviously. Especially these type of places when you're talking about people that are more artistic and they want to explore themselves and they want to explore in different ways. They want to express themselves in different ways. You can't really have a one size fits all, and that's the real goal of the whole idea of Barry Weber's Yeshiva, which means a shining star. You have to be a shining star for yourself. So. Sorry, what was the question again?
Israel. How did you get to Israel?
How did I get to Israel? So Barry Weber, as he evaluates the boys, he always sees the opportunity, and he's actually the opposite of which is the guy that says, okay, I thought you're now a way of life, now keep sticking to it and keep to my community because this is the only way this can exist. I mean, this whole approach to life that I'm giving you is the real approach, and you have to stay here. He tries to build community and keep the people together. Now, Barry.
Ja, weil ich nehme mich schon von Joili. sie suchen für einem, ich gehe der Community, und also kann man bleiben, it makes sense. The problem habe ich nur, ob man lässt nicht weggehen, wenn einer will weggehen. You know? But ob es ist voluntary, verstehe ich. Lernt dich aus der Weg, also lernt man in der Community, stick to the plan, stay with it, otherwise geh weg. But I guess Betty Weber is mehr als a drive-through. In a positive Weg. Kimmst daran, geht da shape-up, geht da car wash, fußorach der car wash, a Jahr 2, baut auf dann Conference, macht dich, I'm guessing, I'm not saying that I know, wo sich bei Kim von ihm. Baut dich auf, sie können wegschicken. You know, a shipbuilder will nicht halten alle Schiffen bei sich. Was hat davon? Baut ein Schiff, und noch schickt man es weg, und man lässt es floaten, und noch nimmt der Shipbuilder nimmt Pride. So, that's what I'm getting from him.
It's completely the opposite. Just him. He's a Himalayan, the sky and the earth. Barry Weber's idea was, well, you came here to learn something. That's the reason you came. Now you learned it. Leave. Prove me that my work is right. How can you prove me that I've done a good job if you never leave my place and you stay here and you just want to be protected and comforted all your life? He wants to take the things that you learned in yeshiva and make something out of it.
Exactly. Also wie the shipbuilder. Wie geht wissen, als es float? Wie geht wissen, dass der Customer is happy? Geht es für den Customer, schickt es heraus, es float, es fuhrt.
So some boys he sends
It's actually a positive.
Other yeshivas, for example, in Israel. For me, he felt like the most important part for me is to learn how to be independent. So Israel was the greatest choice because it's the furthest away from home. And actually, when I came here, the Rosh Chabira, I was in Gelsel Rosh Chabira. Rosh Chabira told me,
By the way, the furthest away from the home would be Australia and New Zealand. I'm joking. Pick off him. I'm sorry.
first time I met him, he told me, I just want to let you know that there is no babysitting here. If you want to lay in bed all day doing your thing, nobody's going to stop you. You're in control of your own life. You got
Die part, ik denk, wenn ich habe gelernt bei Schmelke Leifer. Oh, sehr gerne geht aus der Shiva. Vielleicht sagen, Shiva Getana ist also wie, die hat ein Learned Permit driven. Die sitzt noch leben an Tata, man sucht dich noch. Se du, weil du nimmst die 5 Hour, nicht die 5 Hour Class, du nimmst die Class und man hat das Steering Wheel auf der andere Seite und man protect dich, das ist Shiva Getana. Once du gehst daran in Shiva Gedoyle, so wie, als schon bekommen eine License, jetzt die, wo du willst, kannst du daran von einer Pole, kannst du von Shine auf der Highway, kannst du wo du willst. Das ist also an mir beginnen.
control of this. And this was the most, again, a very important thing for me in the way I've built myself, that I learned how to be independent, to make decisions on my own, and know that nobody's going to help me other than myself, and I have to really help myself, and I have to be encouraged myself, and I can't be motivated from outside things, because in that case, the second the motivation leaves, what am I good for? So I really had to be encouraging from within, and I had to be self-motivated.
So what was your day-to-day in Israel?
Day-to-day in Israel, I was very flowy there. Meaning I did my own thing. I went up to the Har Bayit, which was a fascinating experience. I had a lot of questions, and it's a very interesting way I describe it. People ask me, well, you had so many questions on belief, faith, and so on, and how did this all fall away? And the answer to that is, meaning people ask me, how do you get your answers? Meaning, okay, you had so many questions, now you don't live with these questions anymore. Who gave you the answers? And the answer to this question is, the questions don't get answers, just the questions fall away at some point. Meaning, imagine...
So alle seine questions zijn, ob nicht geben kann Territz. Ob nicht herangehen in a question in a Territz, was gehad. Und geht noch nicht in die Philosophy. Alle seine questions sind geworden weggeworfen. Fang ich question an die ganze questions. Sie beklalde questions sind gewesen etwas tremendous. Like, she can 10 questions. 2.5 of the scale.
Imagine a 2-year-old wants a lollipop after eating tons of sugar, and his parents say, no, you can't have a lolly. And this kid is crying, why can't I have a lolly? Does he still have that question when he's 30? Does he really have the question, why wasn't I able to get that lollipop? No, the question did not get an answer. It just fell away. Well, obviously. So that happens at...
No, the question didn't fall away. He got an answer. Es ist nicht so, wie der Tat hat ihm gesagt, no candy, because ich will nicht. Der Territz ist gewähnt, because you had too much sugar. Nur jetzt bist du ein Adult, kommst du auf mit deinem eigenen Territz. I don't think it's...
You learn more and you go more into spirituality. Not as, meaning religion is obviously very important, but it comes like, and Hasidus is very encouraged, and the original Hasidus at least, with what Hasidus was supposed to be, is encourage people to be very spiritual and let your heart go as well. Obviously, Ma'ashalat Alev, it's a whole conversation for itself, but which I'm not going to go into, but we spend hours doing that. But It was very, very important to me. So Israel taught me a lot to be on my own, and it was very important.
And there you encountered Rabbi Yom Tov Glazer, no? The Possible You seminar.
Actually, not in
Oh, was it
Israel.
there?
No,
Oh, was it in
it was
America?
actually here in America.
Because I did the Possible You seminar in Israel when I was
No
in
way.
Israel. Yeah,
You lived in Israel?
I lived in Israel. Yeah. It's about there. I also, I think I
Ja, no, ist ein Litwischer. Misswohnen 2-3 Jahre in Israel, ich mein. Das ist doch der Litwische Sache.
try to find myself there in ways. And yeah, I was there for 4 years single and 2 years married.
Very nice. Oh, you were married, like,
That's
you
4
lived
years.
here,
Yeah.
married for 3 years.
Yeah.
Is that something, I'm sorry, I'm not in the
No, it's fine. It's fine. I usually don't.
Very nice. Can you agree with me that being a Bacher in Israel is the most important part of the journey of becoming a stable and independent person?
I don't know if it's for everyone, but I will say based on my experience that I was the youngest of, I still am the youngest of 4 boys,
Oh, wow.
and kind of the baby always taken care of, and the amount of independence that being in Israel, and I was in Rabbi San's yeshiva, they
So du nicht mit Israel, schicken wir mitten für Missouri. You know what I mean? Schicken wir in a camp in Missouri, lass mal sehen. Oder in Arizona, oder in New Hampshire. So wir haben so ein Camp in New Hampshire, 150 Acre Property. In jeder eine schläft dort in einer Tent. So nicht du kann Buildings, a shower is a makeshift situation. Jens geht auch gegeben Independence. Ich mache schon weg Israel, ich bin noch in Israel. So ist ein Geschmack. But so nicht directly Israel.
I wasn't really on my own, kind of a little on top of you, but still, it's like trying to get Shabbos meals and do my laundry and just figure out like you're faced with this question, like, what are you doing with your life? And like, why, like, you could get away with making trouble, and like, should you do that? Should you not? Like, you have to really face who you want to be. And I can't imagine where my life would be if I personally did not go there. I really feel like I found
It really
myself
teaches you to take charge of your life. You are ultimately making the decisions, and only you can help yourself.
there. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So that was a great idea for me to be in Israel.
Okay, so let's I guess fast forward to the possible you, unless there's something interesting that I'm skipping over.
Not necessarily. So we're going to go over a few things. So when I came back from Israel, I didn't know if I'm going back when it was the end of this month. My older brother got married. I'm second to the oldest, like I said. My oldest brother got married, and I was in Israel and came home for the wedding.
How old are you at this point?
I'm 20.
No, meaning in the point of the story where your brother's getting married and you're coming back.
That was 18, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2
Okay.
years ago, came back from Israel for the wedding. Meaning usually the boys come home for Pesach, and I came home for Purim because right after Purim was the wedding. Now I went to the wedding, and after that, obviously, I said I'm not going to go back for another month, so I figured I'll stay in America. And then I started thinking, should I go back? Should I not go back? I learned to be independent already, so meaning, well, what's going to be the point going there? Again, it's an amazing life, and it's very open-minded. Meaning, we call it the Moichem the Gadlus. You really have a Gadlus there, like a really open mind, and it's amazing.
So wo ist denn gegangen? Ist schon gegadelt? Ist schon begedelt?
You can't really live in a Moichem your whole life. You really have to become something and
Okay, man jokes and a bisschen rusty, but you know what I mean.
at work. So to the real work, the real life. So when I was here in America, I thought, should I not? And then I have an uncle that offered me a job at his boss missed in another company, whatever. And I went there to work, and it didn't work out. After half a year, it did not work out for me. I worked there for the whole summer, and then my whole life came crashing down. Okay, so this job was not for me. I just lost the job.
His whole life came crashing down. Is 18 Jahre alt, is zurück von der Israel. Ist schon gemoichend und hat einen Job für Zimmer. So hat sich schon ausgearbeitet. Kol Chevre Kadisha.
And I made an important decision. I could have gone back to Israel. My life would have been amazing, but I decided to stay here. I failed. I considered myself a failure. Obviously, nobody's a failure unless they give up themselves. But I was really at my ending point where I was like, okay, I tried so many things. Hashem, what do you want now? And that's when I have many amazing people in my life. And one of the most amazing people in my life, his wife told me, you know what? Why don't you give the possible you a shot? And I was like, what do you do there? You sit in a circle, and it sounded sketchy to me.
It definitely sounds super sketchy before you do it. I agree
Oh
with
my
that.
gosh, what do you mean? Someone is going to go into my thoughts and clean everything. How does this even work? It was the first time I was proposed to healing at all. Meaning, I know you have to be in control of yourself. You have to process your emotions in the way you want them to be, regardless if it's healthy or unhealthy. Like, I really want to be in control of myself. And here someone wants to really make me let go of the control without him necessarily taking it. Meaning, it was the first time where someone said, give up your control, but not to someone. Just give it up.
Mhm.
And it was fascinating to me. So
Das ist actually a ganz guter point. Als gesagt, aufzugeben Control for somebody else is a no-no. But aufzugeben Control von sich, nicht just to geben to anybody, is very powerful. It's auch gesagt healthy. Ich habe nicht getan Possible You. Ich habe getan, ich bin gegangen zu Call of the Chauffeur. Es ist schon nicht existent, die eine Organisation, but es ist dieselbe Idee. Man sitzt da in a circle, man singt Kumbaya, so that's it.
including a few people that
Ich mache alles
decided,
so das,
you know,
but
this
it's
might be the right decision for me. Decided, so many people that care about me want me to give the possible you a shot. I'll do that. And I went to the possible you. Oh, that was a decision. That was an amazing decision. I mean, it was just 4 days of cleansing so many things that was stalking me for years. And you're saying you're a possible graduate yourself. I think you can agree to that it's just so mind-opening. And even people that go out of there without practicing the actual possible you journey anymore, they walk out with a perspective that they can't really lose. It's a burned bridge to your comfort zone. that's how I walked out of the Possibly seminar. I walked out of the Possibly seminar not necessarily having something that, I implemented in my life that completely changed it, but just the view and the perspective that I got there was so unheard of in a way before, and it was so brand new, and just it became part of me, and it changed many things in very, very graduating ways. It wasn't extreme.
Gradual,
Oh my
right,
God,
right.
very
Step by
gradual.
step, right.
Exactly. It was,
Ich meine, als noch der Possible You, ich bin nicht sicher, dass es der Possible You, but bei Call of the Chauffeur sucht man, wenn man geht daheim, sucht ja, und sind wir du, und sind wir alle at 10, mir viel sei geht, but auf dein Leben ich gewinn ein bisschen bekackt von dem, geht es an bekackt noch dem, dann Kar nicht gestartet von dem, geht es nicht starten noch dem. Keiner soll sich nicht getten, sucht keiner soll nicht quitten seinen Job. Jeder einer soll sein relaxed. Für 2-3 Wochen. So, I guess I suchen das auch dort, because mir kommt auf eine Sache high, that sie wissen schon, dass wird tamed. Sie kommt doch zurück auf, because life is, you're not at a 10 all the time. Bis kein Mal nicht at a 10, wenn, in reality. Die fluctuates. So, wenn die Geist herup low, das die Gedenken, als sie muss gewinnen at 10. So, das ist die ganze Idee von der Possible You in der Sachen. So, kein Sommer hat ihm das gesagt, so, wenn dem sucht dass er nicht gewinnen graduate, und ich gemacht major changes.
I did not become that brand new person right away. Obviously, I was on a high for 2 weeks, believing I'm unstoppable and the whole world is really never will. Everything is mine. But obviously, you come down from that, you start, slowly, maturely implementing all these beautiful concepts and ideas into your personal life, and it was fascinating.
Yeah, I had a great experience there too, and it was definitely weird, but not in a bad way. Like we were just like so unused to it, and it's I don't know the group that you did it, but like in our group we had like a Hasidic person, I had a kid who was in my class growing up, I had people I didn't know.
Wow.
I had I'll call him out, Donnie Kunstler, he does a podcast with us. He was there. We had a guy with he looked like he had tons of long hair and a massive beard, and like he was a hippie. It was a very interesting group,
Very
but,
diverse.
but we also felt so connected, and I think the best word that you use is it was very empowering. Like I love one of the things that you gotta get 5 no's, right? It's you make up this concept.
Oh, that was amazing.
Those who don't know, it's like you have to go out into the world and ask someone a question and get no as a response. So like, I remember me, like I went to an ice cream store. I'm like, can I get this ice cream for free? They're like, yes. And I'm like, what? And
Exactly.
you realize, first of all, so many people say yes to you. And also when they say no, not a big deal. Like you go on with life. And we're so scared to ask those
It
questions.
was the most amazing thing for me. Like the 5 no's, the second I realized that the goal of the 5 no's is just to realize that it's a yes world, it was just a bomb.
It's
It was
really
amazing.
great. It's really great. We'll be back to my favorite moment from the opera.
All right.
Say-
Stamazoi.
So-
The guy next.
Past 50 episodes.
Don't forget
Well,
to
has-
like and share and
what-
subscribe. Help
Yeah,
me
how
and the
best
channel
business,
out tremendously.
world that you're in, and
So
you
thank
don't really have any experience with business, and then you're running this nice diamond empire over now. So like, how did that manifest?
Well, not really an empire. I hope it's going to become
Okay,
one.
that's
I am good
good.
at what I do. I'm not putting myself down, but I don't have an empire yet. But here's how it worked. When I left my job and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm a solo flyer. I mean, I came to realize I'm a solo flyer. It's hard for me to accept someone taking charge and telling me what to do. Which again, it's kind of a rebellious nature, but at the same time, it's a nature of I'm a solo flyer. Not many people understand. Meaning, artists is not something that is really understood. Again, throughout history, very same thing rules. When I went into business, it went like
rieft zich artist. Ik ben niet zeker welke part van de art is. Or what he's equating to. I'm not following. Kijk aan tracht als een art de weg wie zij tracht. Oder tracht als een art de weg wie zij macht the jewelry line. I'm not sure.
I decided, you know what? It's time for me to work on my own. What am I starting? I'm an 18-year-old. What am I going into? And it was very, very hard because I didn't really know what to do. If I'm opening something myself, it comes with a huge amount of responsibility. People that you can't let down, especially I have an investor, and having an investor is a huge amount of responsibility because it's not really when you play with your money and it goes bad. Okay, well, it goes bad. You have enough money, you'll give something else a shot. But when you have someone else's money, you can't. There's no second chance of like, oh my gosh, I messed up your first batch. Give me another batch. It doesn't really work this way. So when I went into business, actually, I got a no from over 50 people. I was 18 years old. I came to people. I would like X amount of money from my venture. Meaning it was
50 people. Ich hoffe, es ist ein Magazin. 50 Menschen, das sagen Menschen. Sie kennen fragen questions für 50 Menschen.
think how it.
But lass mal sagen, viele nur 20 ist wow. Und davon geben wir da Kudos für nicht aufgeben. I guess das wurde Possible You getan. Gemacht, nicht mehr finden no.
I had to go into the jewelry industry, but I decided to go into the jewelry industry, and I'm obsessed with fashion. Everything about me screams fashion. I love it. And happens to be, I have many wealthy clients that when they make something nice, and I always help the family with.
Wer denn kauft Jewelry? Der was wohnt mit Section 8 in food stamps? Kauft Jewelry oder successful clients? Usually the successful ones.
and I go shopping, meaning it's part of what I enjoy. And people feel the compassion, meaning I'm not trying to sell myself here, but when I come, meaning you can feel the compassion that I have for jewelry. My whole world lights up when I talk about it. Fashion is really my thing. So when I went into business, I actually got more than 50 emails. I called up people, hi, I would love X amount of money, a new venture that I'm starting. I would love to go into that. And people are like, are you supposed to be in yeshiva? What are you doing here asking for these amounts of money? It's meaning people couldn't make sense of it. And Baruch Hashem, at some point, meaning you got him to see time, and the Chazal say, if someone says he found, if someone says he was searching and he did not find, don't believe him. If someone says that he was searching and he found, you should believe him. And the ultimate idea is, if you're going to look long enough, you are going to find what you want to be looking for.
Right.
And the same idea from there.
Ich sogar so. Kommst du auf mit der Business-Idee, is the reason die kennst dich treffen kein Geld ist, because echt nicht kann get a Business-Idee. But all die kommst du auf mit der Business-Idee, was ist solid, Geld hat schon verloren. Geld hat schon verloren. So, sie können sagen, wenn man geht zu der erste Investor und man sucht, man will das Geld, hat man nicht echt daraus der Sache. Und sagt nein. Die Geist zurück zu der Drawing Board, die Geist zu der zweiten, und sagt nein. So, die Geist zurück noch einmal zu der Drawing Board, bis die drawst up a beautiful business plan oder a business idea, sag mehr concrete, worthy, als eines oder geben Geld, boom, Geld will follow. That's how it goes. I mean, my experience.
In the way a person wants to go, Hashem guides him. And I really wanted to get there in Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, and I can't thank Hashem enough for where I got in Baruch Hashem. I'd love to consider myself at least successful enough that I'm on the very, very right path and I'm good at what I do. People love my service, and I'm a private where I come down to people's houses, and that is it. So I got into business, Baruch Hashem. I got my investor. Baruch Hashem, business has ups and downs. I had a crazy story last year, actually in the summer. It actually becomes a year from now. I invested every single part of the profits that I had. Very interesting story. I wanted to do an event, a jewelry event upstate for people to come enjoy and see beautiful jewelry. Now, I invested every single dollar the company had at the time. It was after a few months saving up close to $100,000 in profits after all expenses, which was, a crazy number back then, extra $100,000. And I invested it all in an event, a jewelry event, believing that it's going to bring me sales. Now,
Drang like $100,000 in an event. Wie ist der Partner? Wie ist der Partner?
Sent out 5,000 invitations. I had 12 people going around knocking on doors and giving personal invitations to the event, coming up with gift cards, whatever. And I had a specific venue, and that venue was on the invitation. And that venue canceled on me 3 hours before the event.
Oh, wow.
After 5,000 people got an invitation to be there, and obviously I lost $100,000 automatically because I had to find another location right away. I had a few people, a few public figures telling people.
Honestly, the $100,000 figure. I'm not gonna lie. Because I'm gonna say geld, but $100,000 couldn't see a good number. Second of all, we spent $100,000 off a venue. I'm saying, I don't know. Be the partner in them.
Change the location due to security reasons. I didn't want people to see it in a negative way. It was very hurting, people canceling on you because, again, I don't want to hurt these people and I don't want to give too much information, but it was probably the very worst thing someone has done to me. Meaning, I called up these people saying, listen, it was supposed to be in a bungalow colony. That bungalow colony said, well, you didn't ask anybody permission, whatever. It was a long conversation. I told them, you're not fighting a 30-year-old that can make an event tomorrow. You're fighting an 80-year-old that took all the savings, making an event. What are you trying to do here? And unfortunately, I lost it all that night. And people called me up, people knowing that I'm very hurt. They called me up and saying, the next venture is going to work out. And Hashem should fulfill what you lost. And I was like, what next venture? What are you?
Wat interessant, I'm picking up. Wat interessant, en niet de werter van de gemoeden, van de dagen. So, ik voel wie ik kan leren. Ik voel wie had haar learnerschap. Not gonna lie. Ik voel wie had haar stuk learner type of understanding. Maar niet de werter. Had het zich iets gered.
About I am not going anywhere, and that gave me so much. It gave me an energy boost for the next few months to just hustle it up and make back that money. And I never ever got back the amount of energy that I had back then, knowing everybody expected me to fail, and they even were okay with it. And that's exactly what pushed me to just keep pushing. And Baruch Hashem, I've advertised with many popular people, and I had a lot of amazing people using me, referring me to others. And
Fascinating. Fascinating. So before we end, there's like one or two topics I want to cover with you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to parents or rabbanim or just people dealing with someone going off the derech? What advice would you give to them?
So I want to start by saying a very interesting gemara that there is. The Nusi from Klal Yisrael at the time saw a Tana going into his house and saw that he lives in a very cheap house. There's no normal paint or whatever. And the Nusi went over to the Tana and said, "What a shame to a generation that
There was no paint. Mogen paint hazard in? All right.
meaning the very best of our generation, don't respect themselves enough to live in a nice house." And the Tana answered back to that Nusi, I'm very sorry for the generation that has a Nusi that doesn't know that, the people from Zdar are struggling financially, therefore they can't. And that Nusi gave into him saying, okay, you know what, you are actually right. And he apologized. I think he sat down from Nusi and another Nusi came. Whatever, just the concept is a very important concept for Rabbunim to know. So I'm not sure if any Rabbunim are listening to this. You have to really understand your people, because if you don't understand your people, you're going to be the person that's going to be sorry and say, this person is doing wrong, this person is doing wrong, and that person is doing wrong, other than you understanding why they're doing what they do and how that can be better. Now, as for how parents should treat their kids, again, I'm giving you the kid's perspective, which is equally important, happens to be, and not many people listen to it, which is unfortunate. from a child's perspective, that was officially considered OTD. B'Hashem now, I'm in a much better place. Obviously, there's always room to grow, but in general terms, I grew a lot, and I was, let's call it, for the lack of a better word, we're going to call it OTD, which is on the derech, whatever people make sense of this word. And the most important part for me is, and unfortunately, a lot of organizations teach parents, okay, you should treat your kids with white gloves, meaning they're supposed to be treated with white gloves, and that actually does a lot of damage. A lot of kids and actually everybody that was considered OTD that I know, they did not want to be treated with white gloves. They wanted to be treated fair and equal. They don't have to be equal, but they wanted to be treated equal because that's how it's supposed to be. On his way, not yours. So the idea of treating kids with white gloves does a hell of a lot of damage because these kids feel, okay, now I became a problem. I'm going to be treated and I'm going to be taken care of and comforted. I don't want to be comforted. I just want to be treated fairly. If you tell my other siblings not to do something, tell me also not to do it. Don't like,
Das heißt, mit der gesucht nicht 10 Sachen, in die ist doch ja, bist doch OTD. Aber die geist doch noch der andere Namen, Schwestern und Brüder, wo die hast. Wenn dann tritt man dich anders, weil die bist anders. Wieso kann man treten einem Geherig? Wo die Geister halten in Einsogen nicht die Team, wenn das ja?
Okay, you can, because it feels very cheap. I've experienced it personally, and it feels very cheap. If you want your kids to be at least on one page with you, don't ever make them feel like they're either special, more than any other of their siblings, or any less than them. Treat them equal, treat them fair, and that is going to get them a Yetz Hashem that they're going to find at some point. Let me tell you something, everybody settles down at some point. I don't know one person, meaning Chaz Shulam, unfortunately, when it comes to drugs, people do sometimes bad decisions, and they can't really go out of it. Right. Meaning it ruins your life, it fries your brain, it's life-changing. But anything that is not life-changing that your kids do, including not being religious, including many other things, just know that it's part of a journey. Don't freak out that this is who they're going to become because it's not really who they even want to become. It's just part of the journey of them trying to experience different things for them to try to find their balance of life. Don't freak out. It is completely okay. And they're going to be amazing and wonderful people. And they're going to live in society. They might even become Rebbes, Rabbunim, Yeshivas, business owners. So many special people doing so much chesed. And just accept that and know that.
That's really, really powerful. Thank you for that. And I just want to finish off. So where are you now? You live in Muncie?
I live actually in Monroe with my parents. My parents moved to Monroe. I lived away from home for 4 years. Obviously, I couldn't handle the differences that I had with my parents. So I started by living in Muncie by Weber's Yeshiva. Then I went to Israel for another close to a year. And then I lived in Borough Park because I worked over there. And then I moved back home opening my own business. I had to cut down expenses. And so I moved back home and I learned to love it with the possible help. There's one thing that I want to bring out about all these OTD, so-called OTD Bukhrim, which is something super important is you have to understand that I'm not sure about before the Holocaust. I'm not sure what was, again, there was obviously many OTDs back then. And I'm not sure which part of the community they were. Meaning if it was the very lowest of the community, the very smartest, I'm not really sure. Although we know that, the Maskilim and these people were genius philosophers and so on. And these were, it was the very best that left the community. But right before the war, I'm not really sure. But now in our generation, just know that these OTD Bukhrim, and probably girls as well, again, I can't speak for them, but just know that they're truth hunters. They're trying to find something meaningful for them, and that's the reason they do everything they do.
Weil du de Maskilim auch het gezicht hebt als truth. Jeder sieht der truth. Gehillig sie misklieg oder nicht.
Not do it to hurt anybody. They do not do it because they want to do any damage to anybody else. And it's not really anybody's business, meaning who are you to take damage of something that they do? It's their choice. Everybody has their own free will, at least the illusion that they have their free will. And everybody...
So hat man free will oder nicht? Man hat free will. It's not an illusion. All right. Shekhala.
With it, whatever they want, then believe me, they're going to end up being great people. And one thing I wanted to bring out is the Novi spoke about it, meaning the Novi, I believe it was the Novi Tzfania, said, it's going to come a generation before Mashiach times, before the ultimate and when everything's going to come back one. People are not going to be hungry for bread. People are not going to be thirsty for water. They're going to be desperate to hear the word of Hashem. And this is exactly what these Bukhrim are doing. They're trying to find the word of Hashem. And that Novi said he is jealous to be of that dot. So respect your kids that there was an actual Novi that was desperate to be literally like them. Respect that.
Wow, very powerful. Okay, I want to end off with a question or just talking about your experience, because the reason why we did another episode, because we did one and it's never going to air, because you felt that I thought it went great, but you felt like it was maybe too negative in certain ways. And I want to bring out, like, the point of this conversation is so people going through the challenges that you've gone through, like, they can understand that. So I want to end off with what's something that you wish the world knew more about Satmar? Because I don't think you can tell me. You come on here and be like, I don't like Satmar. No. You came on here to say this was my experience. It's right. For many people great. For me personally, it was challenging, which is fine. So I want to know what positive thing you say about that.
Sure, I'll be more than happy to. First, I want to explain the first podcast that was actually that is never going to air. The reason I decided that I would love to do this again is because I came off as a judge. I came off in the podcast as a judge. I said this was my experience, therefore X, Y, Z done. I labeled many communities, many people, and it's not really fair to label people. I don't speak for them. Meaning I barely have with them anything in common. So right. How do I have the right to judge them? And I do not want to come off as a judge. Although growing up in a community where judging is part of life, meaning it's not a bad thing. It's just part of the community, and the community is set in a way where judging is an important life skill. In most of the world, don't judge, and it's actually important not to judge. But at the same time,
most of the world doesn't judge. I don't know if I can go with that statement. But ich verstehe, was ook. They bringen naar zweiten, just because die ons getracht hebben, is groß.
Grew up in a community where judging is part of life.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It's just a part of the life. So I did not want to come off judgy. I wanted to come off more giving you my perspective and giving people the opportunity to understand themselves how they want to perceive the knowledge I give them. So that's something I wanted to make clear. Now, going back to Satmar, one good thing I can say about him. First, I want to make
Which knowledge? I'm so confused.
very, very clear. Satmar Rebbe was against Zionism, which is very obvious. Well, I'm personally pro-Israel, and well, most of Judaism is really, besides that small minority. But I just wanted to make something clear. He helped many people, and there's actually a story which I heard firsthand of one of the, we call the Steve mentioned, people that actually were around the house and helped him out a lot. And he told me a fascinating story. There was an IDF commander that came into Satmar Rebbe. Many people came to him for bruchas. He was a very holy man, and people came for bruchas knowing that he was
Satmar Rebbe tamul gesucht. Der was gleibt alle Maßes is anar. Was heißt? Und man darf aber wissen, dass kennt seine Maße. Tun nicht gleiben jede Maße. Just saying, Vater fangt mit der Maßes.
And he came to Satmar Rebbe and came for a bracha. Satmar Rebbe asked him, what do you do? And he told Satmar Rebbe, I'm commander of the IDF. Nobody lied to him. And he was not the guy that you're able to lie to. And you know what he did? He took out the money that he got from all the units from the past few weeks and gave it to him. He's like, Rebbe, I did not come for money. I came for a bracha, for a blessing. And the Rebbe told him, yes, I am going to give you that money. Give it you, as you're a commander, you probably have, unfortunately, soldiers under you that died in the war. It was probably after the 67 war. I'm not really sure. Maybe the war before that. And he told them it's after war. People died. Make it easier for the families and divide that money into the families of these fallen soldiers. So at least you ease some of their pain. That was Satmar Rebbe. Satmar Rebbe was an extremist when it came to his opinions. And there are many interesting stories about him, and we can go on and on. There's actually one story. There was a very big, there's a big newspaper. It's a magazine, and there was a writer there that cursed out Satmar Rebbe all along. He just cursed him out and spoke about him, how he's wrong and so on, how the whole Jewish is like not allowed to have a Medina, prove them wrong and so on. It was a film about a very, very pro-Zionist newspaper. One of the writers there unfortunately got cancer and had to come here for treatments. And he came here and he had to raise $10,000. $10,000 back in the days, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions these days. We're talking about years ago. And someone told him he came here sleeping with his Zionist friends, the people from his community, and they told him, by the way, you have an option. They made an event for him and they raised $2,000. I'm sorry if this is a little bit of a long story, because it's important for people to hear. They made an event for him and he raised $2,000. 2,000 T's has a gap of $8,000 and he felt very down. They told him there's an option. There's one guy, he always gives out money, and that is Satmar Rebbe. And he's like, Satmar Rebbe, I curse him out. He's like, he's not gonna want to help me. And they're like, he will. He went into Satmar Rebbe and Satmar Rebbe asks him, what do you do? And he told him, Rebbe, I'm sick, if you can help me out. And he's like, what do you do? He says, I'm a writer. Where are you a writer? Satmar Rebbe knew everything. Nothing was in. He knew all the information. He knew everything about design.
Alles hat gewusst. Alles. Von nun bis himself.
Magazines, what they say. He knew everything. He was a very knowledgeable person. Always liked to hear. He had people inform him of everything. And that writer told him, this is my name, and I read that side. And it was like, oh, so it's you. Very nice. Whatever. He had a conversation knowing who he is and knowing that he's kind of an opponent to him. And that person walked out of there with $8,000 in his hand.
Wow.
Welcher newspaper? Wer hat gebringt den newspaper zum Satmar Rebbe? In wen hat es geleint? Fahr Schachres noch Schachres? Fahr es beide das. Wie hat es geleint? All right.
It was a ridiculous amount of money. And so just to give you a perspective, Satmar is a community where there's so much chesed and so many organizations are based on Satmar. And happens to be Satmar Kiryas Yoel. Satmar Monroe sent out many packages of aid to the IDF.
Right.
So you can't make that away. Obviously, everything comes with a balance. Being extreme on this way comes with an extreme on many other ways that can be hurting to people. And one thing that I have to make very clear, there is a difference between Satmar and Tirkarta.
Yeah.
People do not know that because they're actually dressing the same. There's a huge difference. And actually, Satmar Rebbe detached them from Satmar, meaning they originally probably came out of Satmar being the most extreme community, but Satmar Rebbe kind of got them to a side. And he respected them as people, but he didn't want to.
Yeah, we don't associate with
exactly.
them. Yeah,
we don't associate with any Arabs, meaning Satmar Rebbe was like, it's unheard of to go march with murderers, and he was always against that. I want that to be clear.
Yeah. Well, okay, fine. Isaac, thank you so much for doing this, sharing your story, coming back again.
Thank you.
All right. Jetzt ungeendigt. Ich habe noch all dieselbe questions. Wie soll gewesen sein path? Wo sie gewesen seine questions? Wo hat sich verämpft? Wo ist weggefallen? Welche questions ist weggefallen? Wie weit ist gewesen? Wie nun ist gewesen? I think there's a lot of information missing. Ich meine, der erste Podcast war ganz sach besser. Ich meine, wo sie haben pre-recorded, wo sie will nicht herausgeben. Ich meine, Jens will geben sach mehr information, mehr raw emotions. Alright. Das ist der End von der Video. Das ist der End von der Live-Hand. Thank you for the Dusan. Much appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed, because I have definitely enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. It helped me and the channel out tremendously. So thank you.